Hello, 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 folks. Ugh, what a day to have a distraction. So, I am going to do some shortcuts live stream for you today, and I might just do whatever. Like, we'll see. It's, I want to have a couple fellow streamers on eventually, and people just kind of hopping in. Gonna be doing some shortcut stuff. If we get bored, we'll do some games or something. I'm not sure. We'll see. Oh yeah, and please say hi in the chat. Let's talk it up. Hang out. I'm going to answer questions especially. That's going to be a big part because I've got a lot of things that we can do together. So let's do it. All right. Got some coming in already. Kyle, Santi, Brian, Chris. Is that Chris Lawley? Looks like it, entitled Chris. If you are in there, Chris, I want you on soon at some point. So let's do it. And also, please, hello everybody from YouTube and Twitter. Feel free to, it'll be on the up at the top of the Twitter feed randomly, so feel free to pop in and say hi and whatnot. What's up, Bees? Robbie? Oh yeah, it is Chris. Okay, sweet. Let's do it. Where should we start? What do you guys want to see most? I've got a bunch of automations that I can make, especially for iPhone. I'm not showing my iPad yet intentionally, but oh, Chris is at the office. Real jobs. What is that? Hello, Tracy. Sugar Bees is your brand. Nice. Nice to have you all here. Please ask questions about what you want to see. I know there's a lot of iOS 14 stuff I still haven't shared with people, so we can definitely cover a good amount of that. What's up, Paolo? Ricky, working? Okay. Some dude, UK? Nice to see you all. Let me switch to my iPad. I was muted. Sorry about that. Robbie wants to see what I can do there. Right here, let me get these all set up. My light is blue. Just turned blue and then turned off once I got back. All right, let's keep going. What do you want to do with the music app and AirPlay? Yes. Okay, we got that. Got the HomePod. Can do that in a second. All right. Marco, hello. Automation without confirm. Yes, you can do that with time stuff, and we will definitely do that. Apple Watch shortcuts. I'm not sure because I've been having trouble with the beta. I'm not sure if this actually got installed or not, but we can test it out. Apple Watch shortcuts also, yes. Link to key stickers. Is that the NFC stuff? And then also want to start a timer when it's on charge and then stop once it's charged. I'm not sure if you can do that, but we can try it. There's that one. All right. Another couple in the, oh, I might have missed one. Is there a way to insert a document into an email? I use Google Docs as my template, and I always have to copy it, go back to mail, and paste it. That might be possible. I will save this for sure. That's a good one. Oh yeah, the watch beta is supposed to fix everything. That's what I'm hoping. Let me check real quick if that's installed. Oh yeah. Part of it is I also just have a completely unnecessarily fancy camera with my phone. This is Stream Deck's thing. This is my ergonomic mouse, but this is the whole thing. And yeah, cable management's dreadful. But I'm going to disable that for now and go back here. Sorry for the shakiness. All right. Oh, the person was asking about the stickers on the iPad key. This is a Editor's Keys LumaFusion thing that's on pre-order right now. So it's a silicone cover. I'll get that later. All right, let me double check. Please tell me this watchOS thing installed, because my watch has been dying at like 10 a.m. or like 2 p.m. every day, basically. Please let me know if I enter my password in on the screen too. I'm probably going to have to change it like 7 times. All right, it looks like it's okay, so we should be good to go. All right. Dust off the HomePod. Don't get taken down. That's upside down. Just a little D&D. Okay, so I think one of the ones that we should start with, get that down there. Got a trackpad too that I'll be using. Why don't we just start with some of my production shortcuts, and it is too bright, and so that's the first thing I'm going to deal with. I have this for when I'm doing my, oh wait, that shortcut's messed up. Here it is. In production, this changes the brightness. So it's always too bright. I think 37.5 is, no, it's maybe a little lower. Oh, even lower, 30%. There you go. You can see that a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in too. We'll do dark mode. That tends to help. Just a real life manual zoom. Okay, I'm going to clean that too. Because this is just inevitable. Sorry for the shakiness. This is why I have my overhead camera not on my desk. And we good to go. Okay. Let me do this. Where's the mouse? Okay, cool. Trackpad's not working. There you go. Maybe the iPad was in the way. All right. So the music ones. I have a collection here called Smart Home. How's the focus also? Let me know if that ever gets out of whack. Should be good to go. Okay. So I've got a set that I call speaker control. Chris putting a paper-like ad in my chat. How dare you? I'll give it to you. Buy his thing. Ooh, that reflection is too bad. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. Oh no. Sorry, I'm a mess right now apparently. So these are my set that use the handoff and set playback destination options. See, this is all the fun that Shortcuts beta users are having, but these actions, set playback to destination, is the way to either change to one of your HomePods or, ooh, that is still too bright, or your Apple TV, or just your AirPods is a good example. Let me pull these out. Ooh, that's why they're on the charger. But the device has to be connected when you're using these, so that's definitely part of it. Is If you're not on the same Wi-Fi network, like we're all at home, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if the AirPods particularly won't show up until they're actually connected. But basically, once you do that, you can just have it automatically switch. And a good technique too. Oh, I don't use it here, but in another one, I use device details to get my own device name to see, oh, okay, is this an iPad? Here's what I need to do with this. So this one I like to use to basically pass the information back to me when I'm connected to something else. I've got little comments with all descriptions on all my shortcuts as well here. But along with that, you can just, like, I have this Office HomePod, and so why don't I just show you? Hand off to Office. Let me see. Let me make sure real quick. I do have copyright-free music, but I'm not sure if it's passed into this yet. Okay, we got late joiner here. What are we making shortcuts for? Right now, we are making shortcuts for home and playback destination. So basically controlling your speakers, and I'll address some of the Bluetooth stuff too. But let me get, I think I've got Joby on here, which is not going to get sued for it. Get the chill beats as usual. But then let me go back to, why don't I bring up shortcuts here? Hand off to Office now. Should work. Maybe a second time. Okay, I'll bring that in a shot more. Hand back to me. I can pick, okay, the Office. Fail. Okay, maybe it's not ready on this beta, but this should work. The handoff. There we go. So that's a pretty solid way you can use shortcuts, and that's definitely, just keep that going, why not? I love that with NFC tags. I've got, let me see, can tear one off my desk here. Oh, they've all fallen off. Oh no. Here, let me grab one. Got a bag full of them here. And I'll be getting back to some of the questions that I skipped, by the way. So the NFC tags, just the little, let me see if I can get that to focus. Probably not. But these are just those little tags that you can swipe with your phone. When it hits the back, you can have it do something. So usually I have ones here underneath my desk where I can just tap on the left side, and then it would pass the music from here onto the HomePod. So it's pretty fun. I think those are the main set. I made one for the variety of speakers or like the TVs that I have. If you have something like a Sonos, it doesn't actually have handoff. Geez, so many conflicts. So you just use set playback destination. That's for all the Bluetooth speakers. Okay, here, Robbie's got a more detailed question. Can you explain the difference between the AirPlay and handoff shortcut? I would love to be able to have music play from a Sonos One without needing to be run from the iPhone and iPad. Can this be done by making the HomePod a source and then handing off from there to the Sonos? That's a very detailed question, but I don't think with shortcuts. I know what you're talking about. So in here, in Control Center, if I start playing music, here's the new iOS 14.2 interface, by the way. If I switch to this and I'm playing music, let me see, I'll do it upstairs so I don't get annoy my girlfriend, but I can also then cast from that to a different device. Oh no, that's going to be the wrong one. Sorry, Ariel. Upstairs TV, that's the one I meant to do, the old one we have in our bedroom. Once that happens, you can see up here, Office HomePod to upstairs TV, and it shows it. It should show it, oh yeah, there in the interface as well. So I don't think this can be done with shortcuts because shortcuts is controlling the current device. Let me get this paused. playing throughout my house right now. That's just part of living with me. But yeah, basically the Shortcuts is controlling the current device, and so it doesn't actually control the HomePod. Like when it is passing back from the HomePod, it's basically doing a handoff. The phone is requesting a handoff backwards, and so that's definitely part of Shortcuts and HomePod stuff, and even CarPlay is it's all running through the iPhone. That's one of the reasons home automations don't have as many features as personal automations, is because they have to use the phone and all the apps on it, which the HomePod just doesn't have. Just kind of wasn't built that way. So I don't know if that kind of stuff is going to change in the future, but that's kind of how it works right now. Okay, let me see. Did I get that, Robbie? Can you have the HomePod be a sort? Yeah, exactly. That was the kind of the question. Unfortunately not. Okay. Ooh, okay. Brian actually is saying it's doable with HomeKit automations, not with Shortcuts. If you can explain more, maybe I couldn't. Maybe I just haven't thought through that part. But it is, home automations have different capabilities with those speakers. Okay. Let me jump back for a second. Okay, here's one that I was just saying I'm running into. If you're fixing conflicts between Shortcuts and phone and iPad, it's kind of like you have to know which was the one you used last. But I think a lot of times there's not actually a conflict. I think something happened in Shortcuts where it thought there was a bunch of issues, and like maybe the technical versions are different, and so it is technically a conflict issue, but the actions themselves aren't any different. Although I had a couple where I chose the wrong one and it deleted the stuff, so that's not the greatest. Shortcuts sync stuff has been honestly killing me. It's the reason I don't have an iOS 14 video. I mean, that's not the only reason, but one of the reasons is because I was getting all prepared to film it, and then all of mine synced out of the categories. So I've got way too many for that to happen too often. Okay, let me do our Shortcuts involving iCloud Drive run from the watch completely broken. That sounds very likely. Is it? You might want to check one thing that you can do for Shortcuts. Here, let me bring myself back in. Anything for the Apple Watch, which is now curated into this category up here, you can go in and check, and it should say, like, these actions don't work on Apple Watch. Let me see. Just do a regular one. Sure. Nope. Okay, that one apparently does. Okay, I'll pick something that actually makes sense. That one probably can't. If I put it on Apple Watch, it's a donated activity. That's probably not going to have the alert, but it should have an alert. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes just finding an example, but let me see. Anything else particularly you guys want to see? I can do the insert a document into an email one. I use a Google Doc as my template. I always have to open it, copy it, go back into mail. Is that like a link to an email? Oh, I forgot your name. Shoot. You said it earlier. the brand. Oh yeah, Tracy. Okay. Because let me just show you guys the email actions. Bring that up. Got a variety here, and these are split across categories, which sometimes can be confusing. Here are the bits. Let me zoom in a bit more. So the different things that you can control, especially if you turn off show compose sheet. One of the new things is a draft. This is kind of a cool feature. I guess don't email this address because that's not one that I actively use. Don't email me. I'm never going to check it. But the way that you do this is, so the message goes in here. I would usually use a text action. And then one cool thing too that you can do is if you make it into rich text and you write your thing in Markdown, you can do formatting in your email. So if you are inserting a link, you can do something like, my NFC tag stuck to my arm. Oh, that is not connected to this computer. Here's the link. like this. Oh, if you have the template, you might be able to completely download it with shortcuts, but this is kind of the way I would do this. Put in those brackets, and then that should make here's the link thing. We can preview it too with the compose sheet. Oops. Gotta switch that keyboard. Let's just see. Apple.com. Boom. Got my little draft. Here's the link in rich text. So that's an awesome, I love this alone for emails. It's like, this alone is why people should use shortcuts, because there's just email links in a non-stupid way. Like, I don't know why iOS still hasn't figured out how to do rich text, but this is how you do it, is with shortcuts. That's always the answer, is if you can't do it on iOS yet, you actually can, but it's in shortcuts. So that one's pretty fun. I'm not sure about the actual template, but if she follows up more, we can figure that out. All right, I think Apple Watch stuff, the automations was what you guys were saying. What else do people want to see? I can just show you too. That's always give you a little inspiration. So this is send email with link. A good tip, if you guys don't know, let me see if I can show both. I guess I can just zoom out. If you're typing the title of a shortcut, it likes to do sentence case or title case, which makes sense because I just said it's the title of a shortcut, but it's like send email with link. You can see can't totally see, but I'm not pressing shift each time. Yeah, let me do it again. Send email. I can't type like that. With link. But on iPad, one of the tricks is if you're trying to reverse that, you hit the shift thing first. So I'll do the first one because that should be, but then shift basically lowercases that automatically. And it's actually, let me show you here on the smart keyboard too, because that's a little bit more how we use it. Zoom in. So you can see it automatically shifts at that point. But if you just turn it off is basically what you're doing. Send email, turn it off with, turn it off, link. So now I use this for every single one of my shortcuts titles. And so I just started learning to type and uncapitalize everything, which is not always the best. I wish I could control this. Oh yeah. No two shortcuts with the same name. I love the shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts too. Let me see. This is out. If I press and hold Command on the keyboard, it'll show you those. And one of my favorite ones is just close shortcut, Command W, because then I don't have to do it manually. And it should, if it doesn't have a title. Or for brand new shortcuts where you haven't changed anything, yeah, it'll delete it because it's just an empty log. This is a solid question. Is there a way to log state changes of HomeKit devices like sensors, maybe to data jar? That's pretty cool. Let's do some automations. I don't have a ton on iPad, you can actually see, because a lot of times they are based around my phone, and also because they keep getting deleted, so I keep starting over. I think the way to log the state changes of HomeKit devices, I think the way that you can use, let me just bring myself in full. If you're really trying to do fancy time-based shortcuts, you're going to have to make a lot of automations. I think the easiest way to accomplish stuff like this, where you're tracking information throughout the day, is going to just be to make 24 automations and set them to different times of day. Like, let me bring back in the iPad. These options, you can do it daily, weekly, and monthly at specific times, but they don't have multiple times during the day. That's definitely something I've never really seen any technology like Task Manager or anything like that get this right, where you're trying to I want to do something during the workday. I want to do it once an hour during the workday, and then only that. And the only option is to create 8 different ones and just do them manually, not like between the hours of this and repeat 3 times or 4 times or something like that. So basically, the main way that I would do it is go and just create them like a 9 a.m. check, something like that. I don't think you can do as specific of a state change tracking now that I think about it with personal automations, but with home devices, this is a good point. I'm actually misremembering. So these are different. This actually comes from the Home app too. I think one of the biggest problems with shortcuts was that they called the same thing in the home automations as shortcuts automations. And it's even just automation where they're really like triggers and they show you a notification most of the time. And then you can don't ask when run for those personal ones. But with HomeKit stuff, it actually is automatic whenever you want. So let's just say at time of day, 10:28 a.m. Let's just do every day. The way you do this is all the way down here. Here, let me get this out of the way real quick just to make sure you all can see it still. I still got to see my stuff. It's this little button that's just buried, and it's called Convert to Shortcut. This means that you could maybe not even set the accessory. You could just even delete that, come in here, and then you've got all of these different options. So get the state of the Woolsey house. That's just our little nickname. The office, desk light. Let's see, this is my key light, is the big one that's right up here. The power state is 1, which means it is on. Outlet in use, also 1. Let me just, I'm going to mute myself while I use my, or I can just use the HomePod here actually. Let me zoom out a tiny bit. Turn off the key light. I guess I held it too long. So that's got my big light right here, it just turns off. Now the power state is 0. Turn on the key light. Boom. Power state is 1 again. So then the main way that you can do this, let me get through all of these actions. Got the only, you should really check what's available in here. And you know what? I need to put this in my shortcuts directory. Shortcuts catalog. Ooh, it's doing the scribble thing. Here, I can show you guys. Just shove everything out of the way. Undo. Nope, that's line break. Add home automation actions to action directory. I've got this on my website, a full list of all of the stuff. I can show you guys that too, because I don't actually put it on YouTube, and I don't know why. And we're still going to get through this question too. This is a solid one. I should probably check my tabs before I put that on screen. I just don't know if I have no idea. I always hate doing that. It's like, oh, just some stupid thing I'm searching for. Okay, my website. What's going on? So need to do another blog post now that this has been up for a while, but I've got my whole shortcuts catalog. And all of these different shortcuts that you can get for free. All of those are categories of shortcuts. There's 350 in here. This is some of the member stuff, which is paid, but this is the action directory. So this is like everything that's in the shortcuts app. But now I need to make another module that's just for home automations. Okay, so we got that. These are the scripting actions that are available. Let me get y'all in there a little bit. Sorry for the zooms in and out. You can do a bunch of math type things here. Oop. Oh no. I undid it all. Let me finish this before, I'll just save this so that it doesn't do that again. Oh yeah. It's a home automation. And I do have a lot more home automations. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Is that it? Nope. Oh, no. There it is. Okay. Shortcut. We're getting the state of the key light. This is the one. Oh, you can't save files. Okay. So the fancy way, I'm not going to be able to do this fully on stream, but the way that you would do this is to make a web request. That's pretty much the only way right now, is to use something like get contents of URL and do a get or post or put patch method. So this is a full fancy thing, but I've got your back because I wrote the official documentation that is in the Shortcuts user guide. Now it was written for workflow, but we've got a whole advanced section here about using web APIs in Shortcuts. So if you guys really want to make web requests to log the state of your HomeKit devices, this teaches you. I don't even think you can actually, now that I remember it, they need to update this because this is built off of Dark Sky, which Apple has now acquired. I'll totally take credit for bringing awareness to how good their API is, but you can make these types of web requests like this using Shortcuts. And then basically these are coordinates, but basically using this, you would be able to put in like, okay, I need to post the current state is a 1, which means yes, and then that can log it over time. So I would do about 24 of those. Brian in the chat also is saying you could use SSH for logging. That's another, I don't even know. I'm not a programmer, so like I don't know what SSH, secure shell. So that's a way to control your Mac remotely. So you could do that, but that does require a Mac also. So that's that one. I saw a couple in here. Oh yeah, Brian wants to add that all in the directory. That's kind of my reason for putting that stuff on my website is a lot of people just haven't gone into Shortcuts. Come on. I wrote this in my newsletter actually this week. I'll just put it at, I'm not trying to just do self-promotional stuff, but I do just want to let people know in here underneath about, I've got what's new in Shortcuts, this newsletter. So basically I'm like in here sharing, here's ones that you should do. Do you know all the Shortcuts actions? And I'm like, go look at all the apps. Go look at dates don't even ever show up. The scripting stuff is all really important. Like, let's just do it real quick together. All of these app ones there's shortcuts for all of these things that I have. Like, it really helps to go through and just see what do these do. Tapping these little things gives you more information. I was kind of saying too, this is an important section. Items, lists are really important. I wish these were ordered manually, not just alphabetically. Ask for inputs, really important. If you're into variables, that's a good way to do it manually. And then I think I use these control flow ones the most. Brian's saying, or a Raspberry Pi too. Hello, Bractoon. Hello, Dragon Dust. Nice to see folks. Peeps, let me know what you want to see next. Also, I'm kind of going freewheeling as much as we want, so I can do tons of stuff. Let me see. I'm going to do some time automations because one of the problems for me is that I have so many freaking shortcuts that thinking of them as automations is like a whole secondary level that then just takes time. And I've been trying to get my home screens really set up as a sort of when I want to use them manually, to think of them again on when do I want them to go on their own is a whole other level too. So I want to just do that with some of you folks live because I think that's a lot of times just getting it all done isn't as valuable as how am I thinking about this? I'm going to lower my standing desk too, so bear with me for a moment. Oh no, I'm gonna have to zoom. That's why I can't use my iPhone. Okay. How's everything looking? How are you all holding up? Hopefully doing well enough. This is my sanity distraction for the day. Okay, time automations. So I think, and this is all going to be personal stuff too. I'm also paying attention now to that 28%, but that's the lovely thing with iPad is I don't think that'll be a problem even if I stream for the next 3 hours. I'm just going to go one by one. All right. Play my station. This one plays my Apple Music radio. I'm curious if people use this. I love this feature so much. Oh, spam calls. No, I get that's maybe not spam, but sorry. So I love Apple Music radio. Wow. Okay. Really? Right away? No. Good sir and madam folk. So the radio station, this is just, if you just say play music, it'll just play something based off of how your library and all that stuff, all the music that you like. So this is awesome. I always come in. That's one of my most frequently used. Can keep this kind of in the shot. HomePod shortcuts, because I come in and it's just like, hey, play music. I don't want to pick. I never want to pick music. Please just pick for me. So that's a great one. This will just do that exact same thing. But I don't want that to just ever happen. I mean, Chris, okay, good call. Somebody didn't turn on Do Not Disturb. You are an evil, evil man. Get away from here. Yeah, I mean, election day spam is, it's legit phone banking and stuff like that. So I'll say, if you can phone bank right now or something, please do that instead of this, because that stuff is more important. I think, okay, so I listen to my music a lot. One of the things is music always helps me get working. So here's a good question too that I'll bring in. The problem with automations is knowing what requires consent. I want access to a menu at 9 a.m., but as a default notification requiring consent. Is there any divination guidance? If you can specify more too, that's definitely part of it, is sometimes automations will show you that stuff. And this is also something that I need to make this pretty soon. I got to figure out exactly how, but on my library, I do have that stuff available for members. This is one of the things that I really haven't talked about it too much, but I went through every single shortcut and every single action and documented how it works. So here's a good example, camera ones. Taking a photo. So this is how I'm going to do this with my library open, because it's useful to me as much as it is to you guys. That's also why I did it, so that I can understand this. Oh, you know what? I just hid the information. Maybe that's part of the problem. It doesn't show up on mobile as much, and I always look at this on desktop. Haha. Change the mobile shot to show the icons for automations and how they work. I hopefully will remember what that means, but right here is so I gotta add more detail to all this, but I kind of have like, will this prompt me? There's a potential prompt for that type of action. Let me show you more examples. Actually, the best way, now that I think about it, it's here. This is some of the extra ways that I have. Usage. Does it open the app? Does it ask for input? Does it ask for multiple inputs? Does it just ask for a single input? So that's like, basically, this does not work with automations. This would work with automations. This is like a multi-step Siri command, or probably better just to run from the widget. A single input thing could be good for Siri too. So these are kind of ways that I've categorized here too. Does it have a prompt? Does it open the app? Does it work in the background? So let's just see. This is a sneak preview. Ooh. And I'm not just like, this is, oh no, this one doesn't work. That's right. I did this on another stream. Maybe that's why I haven't done this yet. It's because it doesn't work. Background process doesn't show. Oh my God. All of these are broken right now. Okay. Well, that's it. Let me show you the Airtable. This is what powers it. Nope. Nope. Trackpad. Nope. Okay. It will show it. This is using iPad right now. This is the reality. Okay, I've got this stuff in Airtable. This is what powers my whole website. Is this database. Let me see. I'm just going to create a view right now. Maybe I already did, but automations. Nah. I'll do a gallery view even. This is now possible, which is amazing. Automations. Okay, doesn't want me to do that, but filters. Where the, oh, come on, Airtable, what is this? The usage is, does not ask for input. So all of these shortcuts that I have should work. A lot of this stuff does work. I think it is so hard sometimes to test. So I think that's definitely something. I'll have to do some more of these specifically, the fully background process ones. But I think this is why going through it manually is just kind of the best way right now. So let's do a little more. I only did one shortcut so far. I'm going to answer a couple quick questions too before we get fully through this, just so I don't lose them. Who was that asking about LifeX stuff? I definitely have a LifeX live strip on this desk, and that's one I could do. Here, let me write that down. Okay, we got LifeX. It's cool shortcut support. I haven't totally figured it out, so let's definitely look at that in a minute. I love with the bulbs that you can set the states such as brightness and temp without turning them on. I want the color cycle though, and it has to open the app. Nice. This is pretty good. Based on the time of day and sunset, I can set the bulbs, and when I need to turn them on, they're already set to the correct brightness. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Sounds like the feature that they're adding in now, but... Okay, I will get to some of those too. Let's do a couple more. Man, that's bad that that part isn't working. That should be fine, so I'll get that fixed today. So let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't even add this as the one, but I want to listen to music more. I get work. I will do a 9 a.m. You know what? Screw corporate. I'm going to do 8:43 because 9 to 5 is stupid. That's my hot take. I need to get the heck out of that capitalist mindset because it doesn't exist for any reason other than the reason we are working. So what's going on here? Hello, folks. Just give me some time to... Ooh, okay. I'm going to drop everything because this is more important. Hello. I am disabled and want to make a button to a shortcut. I made my shortcut but can't trigger it. I would say the best way to do this is to either do a home screen single widget. So these kind of things are one tap and then it performs the action for you, which is cool. The best way by far is that new back tap feature though. I Are you texting me, Ricky or Chris? Sending me prank calls? No. The back tap stuff. Let me see. Okay, I've got. Is this working? Or I don't remember. I haven't set up all of my home screen shortcuts yet. Let me get the settings folder. Accessibility stuff. I've got a whole accessibility group. This is also up on the website. And then this opens into accessibility settings. Oh, that's super bright. Where is it again? Touch, I believe. And then down here is back tap. So you can set these. I've got pretty simple stuff. This is an awesome one. Open shortcuts is just anytime right back into shortcuts. Yeah. And then this other one that I have called run shortcut just gets all of my folders and lets me pick through them. So triple tap. Let's see. Sometimes it doesn't work. So definitely double tap is the more valuable one. Oh yeah, there we go. All of my folders pop up, and then I'm like, okay, let's do my iOS 14.1 shortcuts, and we can open up the Measure app and use those fancy new features. How big is this iPad? Oh, let's check. 13 inches. It's a lie. It's all a lie. You can't see it. It's my autofocus is dreadful, but so I would say that's definitely the best one is use back tap to have your shortcuts run the best way. Also, Chris, please send me a message on Twitter. It's twitter.com/Matt Cassinelli, and I will help you out personally. Anybody who knows someone who's disabled or has accessibility needs, I will absolutely prioritize helping you over anything else. So let's do that together. Okay, cool. Got another I saw a good one. How do you prepend to notes? Is that still there? Where'd you go? I think they said pretend to notes, but close enough. Can you do that? Is it part of the action? Let me see. I don't think so. Unless it's just, yeah. I don't think they built these actions the same way. I think what they're referring to is when you save a file, you can, or wait, what is it? Is it in Dropbox? Did they get rid of this? Oh no, there it is. Append a file. You can have the option to append or prepend, which is put at the front. Append is put at the end. I'm not sure the Latin roots for all of that stuff, but it doesn't look like you can do that with notes. But let's do it. You can't technically, but we'll do it together. Okay. I'm going to get a trackpad, mouse all set up. This will be a full speed one. Please keep asking questions in the comments about what you want to see. I will be able to answer more and more as we go. So especially if it's the right, sometimes I can't get it, but also sometimes I can, and then we can just fly through this. So this is awesome. So what I would do is, let's say you want to get that specific note. I'm going to put a title on this one that we've been writing. Live stream notes. Ooh, I'm going to do it right now. Sweet. This is awesome. Okay. I'm going to make a shortcut that I'm going to use for this live stream for the rest of the time. Append to live stream notes. And it's got to be yellow because that's how notes work in my brain. I always have to color them. Otherwise, I will not remember what my shortcuts are. What's a good append? This is honestly incredibly important to me too. Sometimes it's like, whatever, I'll just use the default thing. But something that I can recognize later makes a big difference. Append, I think sometimes I like to do just kind of that's kind of put it at the end mentally. So, but we're doing prepend. Just kidding. Aha. Prepend. I should have done that for the title. Okay, we'll get there. So the way that I would do this is you need to basically, let me check that this note is synced over. Drag that out. Drag it in there. Just reveal more of my personal stuff. One sec. Is it not going to sync? Oh, no, it's in my handwriting folder. Okay. So we've got live stream notes. Ooh, that's a little dim. Going to find all notes where the body contains not anything. I'm going to switch this to the folder is handwriting because that's 1 of 4 in there. And I usually like to run my shortcuts as I'm building them to test. It's like, these are the 2 notes I have in right now. This is a major bug. I will say this too. Shortcuts has not been able to get more than 25 actions in the long... It doesn't make sense. Shortcuts cannot get more than 25 notes. I'll add this to the thing in just a second, but it's kind of driving me crazy. And that's been a bug since it came out. Like, that needs to get fixed, guys. Somebody... I can't just report all these bugs myself, but okay, that's good. The shortcuts cannot get more than 25 notes. Folder is handwriting. We got that one. Let's be more specific. The name, which is basically the first line, contains live stream. So technically, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, the way that you can do this is basically just create a new note on top of it using the contents of the current note. And the way that I would do that, so you got to have a place for that text to live. I would bring in text and sort of like put the note there. Actually, what we can even do is give it an entirely new title too, because if you specify body, it will only get everything from the second line. So let's see. Look, see, it cuts out that first line and then does this. And then you could just put in, this is the space where I'm going to put my new text. This is the scripting action that's really important to know about, is ask for input. It's way down here somewhere. This basically has the shortcut ask you while it's running, what kind of input do you want to put in? And you say, what's the new title of the note? Put that ask for input in here. Oh no, I'm hiding it with the chat. Sorry about that. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, that's just in the way now. Put it in the bottom right. This provided input thing. And here's a way to expand that table, see the full options. The important thing too is this little icon, the select magic variable thing, lets me go in and manually choose. I want to get that provided input and put it in that spot. So this is going to say, what's the new title of the note? Hello, friends. And then we've got basically a new note here. And then I would just go in and create it. So this is sort of the quick and easy way to do it. If you want to, you can come in, append to this, and it basically will just go in and create a new note for you each time with your new appending thing. And then you could just delete the old one. I don't know if Shortcuts doesn't have a delete note action over here. The other thing that you could do is basically, I'm just going to pretend it does, and this is how you would do it with files as well. If this did work, you would basically not delete that note that you just created, but clear this out, select a file, go into magic variables, go get that original note. Let me just rename it here so it's more clear. Original note. Oop. So delete that original note. And then this is like, we can see in here, that's that original note thing there too. So that's kind of the way you would do it. The delete note thing isn't currently possible, but if you really are trying to just append to the same note, you could do it like that. If you don't want to crop out the body, I would just get, I think you do just the text. This is kind of weird. Sometimes Shortcuts really just wants to do both. Let me see if I just do the text. Change it here. What goes at the top of the note? Hello. So, hello on top of live stream notes. And it just basically in here has now created another note in that folder. So that's how you do that. Prepending notes instead of appending. It's kind of a quick and easy way, some alternate methods. And I mean, another thing I would even add in here, you've created that note. If you do have to go in and delete that old one, just show the note is what it would do. Or actually, you know what? Even easier, show that old note. And then you're just right there ready to delete it too. Perfect. That's a great one. Prepend to live stream note. There we go. I think that makes sense. Let me share this. What's the best spot for people to get these? Because I think I can do it in the chat here. Across all 3 platforms that I'm streaming on right now. Maybe not. Okay, I don't think I can chat out through Restream is what I'm using right now. I will post this on my website though. And I'll tweet it out as well. Or I'll just do that now. Why not? Oh God, I'm checking Twitter on live stream. Just what's going on out there. Okay. Here's one we just built. A workaround method for prepending. That's what happened. It auto-corrected him. Prepending 2 notes. Here's a shortcut by creating a duplicate and going delete it. Cool. There we go. All right. I'm going to step back just for a second and see what you guys all are saying. I hope folks are doing well, still holding up as best we can. Ooh, definitely got a couple in here. Nice. Somebody said, I live you. That maybe means I love you, but I live me too, technically. So, ooh, are we having buffering issues? Has there been any lagging or anything like that? Definitely let me know if there's any issues as we're going. Ooh, I love comments like this. Didn't really get into shortcuts much, but now that I got a new iPad, I'm starting to experiment a little bit more. Need to find some cool shortcuts that I can dig into to learn a bit more. That's the kind of stuff I got for free on my website because I want people to be able to do this. So just MatthewCassinelli.com and the shortcuts catalog. It's in the sidebar too, and it's basically still my main blog post right now. But this is up to 350 now. In here, in all of these categories. It's like, let's look at everything for reminders. These are in a little reverse order, which is a little weird. Oh, let me get rid of that chat. But, I don't know. Have you guys taken down my website? That happens sometimes. But this is a way to get all of the shortcuts, and they're all free for everybody. If you're not a member, it basically just shows you the same kind of information, but I have built out the membership too. So if you want to get more information and make a little bit more of an informed decision or learn about the shortcuts, it's got all of this extra information too on every single shortcut. Got all the actions that it uses, so you can kind of see. I've made little emoji for each of the actions, and then similar shortcuts as well. So yeah, there's all of those. Like the free part is basically you should be able to see this kind of stuff, and then it's just like, here's how you use reminders with shortcuts. So definitely check that all out. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no, they're going to see that I'm reading Mac Stories. Definitely check out, I was going to say, I was tweeting about the Mac Stories catalog too. Like, Federico's got this one I use all the time to get the settings URLs, but he's got all of his shortcuts here too. And this is another awesome resource. It's like where I learned was on macstories.net. So I highly recommend going out and checking all of Federico's. And also the, where is it? He's got a section for shortcuts specifically. He used to. Oh no. There is a archive. There's a way to get to the shortcuts tag somewhere, but I don't remember exactly. But yeah, that's some fun ways to get started. Here's a good one. How do you use the Siri command with any of the shortcuts? You are allowed to train the shortcut by recording a phrase, but that doesn't seem to be included anymore. This is the big one, is that all of the names of those shortcuts are the trigger phrases now, and they didn't really tell you this. So this is why I write mine like it's something that I would say to Siri. And that was also earlier I was showing people how to press the shift key to I should probably show my iPad. Press the shift key in order to basically be able to decapitalize the titles and make them sound more like sentences, because in my brain I want to think of my shortcuts as things to say to Siri. These ones that keep in the widget don't do it as much, but here are a good example of like, let's some Apple Music ones. I say, play my favorites mix, because I want to say, hey, computer, play my favorites mix. I want to say what's playing, not like song identification or something like that. So I do write mine as much as possible. I obviously have so many. I don't use all of these with Siri, but I wanted to, if I'm going to be able to use it with Siri, have a logical way to kind of write out that phrase. And also just to show it in here too, this is the question I'm answering. So it's like, I want to say, hey, find this on YouTube, not like get the YouTube link for the Shazam song, because I think what might be hard for people sometimes is that I'm slightly obscuring it. So that's why I put the comments in. It's like, this is literally what it's doing, and this is how I'm using it. So that's a good tip too if you're using any of my shortcuts. Thanks. Good luck with the channel. Appreciate that. Ooh. I mean Eve button. Here, wait, I might have missed half of this question, but you want to use the Eve button when you're in bed, which is, I've got other buttons. Where'd it go? Must have fallen off of my desk, but I've got the flick ones too that you can use to trigger personal automations and home automations and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that one specifically. Some of the hardware ones are a little bit harder to test, but Alex is on. Hey, nice to see you. Mac Stories. Isn't that about Macs? You ask them. Don't ask me. Oh, Jay's on too. Oh my gosh. I feel like we should. Oh wait, that was the wrong one. But I feel like we should have a conversation, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not. No pressure. Obvious. Oh wait, no. Are you still recording your other podcasts? You weirdo. Okay. Antonio still hanging out. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Is there a way to create a shortcut to toggle on and off specific toggles within settings? No, there is not. But you can, that's one of the major things that Federico's page here has. I really got to clear out my tabs more. Is this one. There's also, I think, there's another list on Reddit too, but he went through and added in all of those URLs. And so one of the things that I did was I went through and took out a lot of these for my own personal uses. I haven't shared it yet because I don't want to just like steal shortcut ideas, but a lot of this stuff, checked screen time, check battery usage, these jump into those same things. I'm never going to show you guys that. Let's see my battery usage. That's a little healthier. We can see why I'm at 23%, probably just because I left it on overnight. Yep, I watched a bunch of TV last night and didn't do anything. Like that was when my podcast was, and then I did not use this iPad pretty much the rest of the day. So, what a week. Sprout Boy's asking in here, what is this? We are talking Siri Shortcuts, Apple's automation platform that's built into every single iPhone and iPad, and nobody knows about it and nobody talks about. I'm not salty at all, but I used to work at Workflow, and so that became Shortcuts, and now I'm just trying to share with people how I use this, because I have so many, it's like overwhelming even for me sometimes. But let's do a couple more. All right. I like the new, that's not going to work on iPad because it doesn't have the fitness app, but you can start workouts now with Shortcuts. That's cool. Hello, friend. Have you heard the good news about Shortcuts? Exactly. Okay. Let me just check on different platforms. Good to go, good to go. I see a couple other ones about the XML file. Ooh, that's interesting. Let me bring it back in here. Let's do some more fun ones. Let's do some voice stuff. So, oh goodness. My keyboard is attached to my iPad now instead of this computer. Okay. This isn't, how am I going to time this? No, I just realized I got to use Siri. I just won't use the Siri command. I'll just do it manually. Repeat after me.
Okay, Matthew. Shortcut says, what do you want me to say?
Say, my followers are beautiful. Oh, I just said say.
Say my followers are beautiful.
Wow, Siri literally says it like an annoying kid. Repeat after me.
Okay, Matthew. What do you want me to say?
Please vote.
Please vote.
See, Siri wants you to do it too. So that's a fun one. Let's do translate to French.
Okay. What would you like to translate?
My name is Matthew.
In French, my name is Matthew is Je m'appelle Mathieu.
Je m'appelle Mathieu. For anyone who doesn't know, my mother's maiden name is Le Chevalier, and so we're all about French stuff. I just realized, please don't hack me. I'm going to change all my security questions now. I don't think I have that for any. Here's a good one. Dictate. I like to use this just to be like, Shortcuts needs to fix its sync issues. Okay, well, sync. Close enough. Just dictate that text and then you can just copy it out and send it off to somewhere. That's always fun. Actually, I think I do want this to just copy to my clipboard. I don't want it to share. I've had that happen before and that's kind of annoying. I just want to be able to paste it somewhere else. Okay, here's a good question. Let me jump back into this. Why do you open apps with shortcuts and not via search? One of the reasons I do this is because I like to do both. So here's a good example is this is kind of a sneak peek at my whole home screen strategy, but I have boatloads of shortcuts in stacks on my home screen, and they're all contextual to the stuff that I like to do. So like a good one, this stuff could open into the music app automatically, but this one, of course being buggy right now, but it shows me different music apps that I can open, and I can just go right there without keeping it on my home screen. So that's definitely, or it's on my home screen, but it doesn't have to be part of my main app setup. One of the big things you can see here on the phone then switches to, I have all of these contextual home screens, and I don't want to always have, like this one has more apps on it, but I like to keep them in the folders, and then I can kind of just jump into the right things from the right places as I need to. Fantastical's widgets are bugging out, but that's my kind of strategy is I want to have the ability to use it with Siri. I want to be able to use it with shortcuts. I want to be able to use it on the home screen. I want to use it on the HomePod, Apple Watch, everywhere. Like my big thing is I don't want to be in a spot where I'm like, I wish I could do it in this format. I want to be able to do it on all of my devices, on my Mac too. Like that's going to be a big thing is I do use my Mac. I'm streaming right now from a Mac. So using shortcuts in and around all of those things helps a lot. Wow, how can you find the shortcuts in those stacks? One of the things, that's the reason my video still isn't out, is it's taken me weeks and weeks. I basically went through and manually organized all of them. One of it too is, let me show you this angle. Let me make sure this one works. This main shortcut just goes and pulls those folders too. So here are all of my stacks in there, that kind of thing. I basically went through, here's a good example. This is how I do my podcast stuff. So I just pick the ones that I actually use on my phone and just put them in the order. And then hopefully the smart stack will show it to me at the right time. Like that's kind of the part of it. Oh, sorry, it's a little blurry. But I can just come in. I know that this is my podcast page, and then I just come up and just go like this, go find the right one, and should be good to go. Like, let's see. Let me do this one here. Post about new episode. My podcast just came out yesterday. This one grabs, Smart Tech 52 from the RSS feed. This is like all the HTML that it's scraping out. This is pulling the data and formatting it and then putting it into Ulysses for me so that I can then go fix a couple of pieces. Is it going to make it? Oh, it's also downloading the thumbnail. Okay, let me make sure this is the right one. That list is in backwards order. This is pulling from the YouTube page even, so I can make sure I got the right one. I made a whole stream about this shortcut specifically. Let's keep going. Jay, I'll get you in a second. But like, look at this. This is my entire blog post. See, there's some issue with it I got to figure out, but this literally goes in and formats the links that we use in our show notes and does almost the whole blog post for me. And okay, something's messed up, but basically once I get this fully going, it even does the iframe. It's got the title. I can just come in here, then share, or is it publish? I always forget the command. Export, publish straight to Ulysses. Got the thumbnail in there and everything onto my website. So maybe that's why I haven't done it in a couple weeks, is because it's broken right now. But that's an awesome one. It's broken, so I haven't been doing it. But the second it's fixed, I always end up using it. Alex is asking, what case is that? I just got the battery case. I'm sad that we don't have these for the new phones. And it is, can you guys see how worn out those edges are? Like they're all super, this is just from putting it in my pocket. But that's one thing with who knows with the MagSafe thing, are we going to lose our camera button? I love this. We'll see. Here's a good question. Can you do one to record audio and transcribe it at the same time? You cannot. I use Just Press Record for that. Let me see. Oh, I've got a big home screen thing going up here. They've got a giant widget, which is pretty funny. Look at that. So you can just come in and then record, and then they like to, hello, this is a recording of my voice. Once you come in here, it's doing a little transcription thing. Look, hello, this is a recording of my voice. These guys have a couple shortcuts, so I got to get it there. Share the transcript. You can share both even. So this is awesome. I love Just Press Record. That's so good. Great question, Paul. Jay, give me a minute. You'll be in next. You said 10:30, so. Okay, here I got a couple more. Sorry, Antonio, I'm not trying to ignore you. The D&D still shows the messages. Okay. Greg, you got a couple questions here. Let's do this. I've created an automation based on time, though it never seems to run. Whoa, that's a giant chat. This is probably a bug. Even though I checked it off, my shortcut opens up a news app. That might not work as an automation because, so he's got set it to do not, but it opens a news app, then dings from the phone from my Apple Watch as a way. Is that doing the phone alert? Let me see. So I think what he's talking about, also there's more questions. I should just see it. Yeah, okay. Jay, what the heck? I didn't say anything. You over there saying I have it, was supposed to call and then he didn't show, so now he will incur my wrath. I have receipts, good sir. Don't try to trick me. Okay, Alex, see you later. Nice to have you. And I will answer some of those questions too. Okay, back to Greg's thing. Checked off Do Not Disturb, and then the Apple Watch thing. So some of that, here, let me get the watch ringer. It sounds like you're doing let me show you all where it is properly. Way down there. You're doing the ping my iPhone, it sounds like. I don't know why you need the lights, but for Foxy Pro going in, I'm showing people how Siri Shortcuts works. This is Apple's automation app. As Jay said before, you can hear the good news. So the time automation, if you are opening an app with an automation, sometimes that can be a little bit weird because it's trying to do something physically. Like maybe you should ping first and then open the app. That might even be the solution because what it probably is doing, especially if you're not using the device, is trying to open that app, but it just can't do anything because the device isn't open. So I think that's one of the things is they really should have, just like the Apple Watch should show when something doesn't work. Oh, sorry, that's way too bright. It should show when the automations just don't work. That is definitely frustrating. It's like, this is just doom scroll wake up time. Because that's definitely, Alex just left to go do that. But you want to go check news at 8 a.m.? Like, I just realized what we're doing. And it alerts you so you can't ever stop. That might alone do it. Let's just set it for a minute from now. 10:19. This is the way to do it too, by the way. Pro tip, run your shortcut from the automation itself. Typo. Doom scroll. I just realized I'm going to ping my phone. Well, it worked. 10:19. Aha, know what? I did too soon. Let me test that again at 10:20. I got to turn this feature off. Don't ask before running. Oh no, where to go now? 10:19. Let's do 10:20. So let's just see. That's always the way to do it. All right, I will check some of these other comments too while we're doing that. Here's a great one. Toolbox Pro can transcribe an audio file. I did not know that. I got to check that out. Toolbox Pro from Alex Hay is like 200 more actions than shortcuts. It's terrible, but I've been doing so much with this catalog that I built on my website that I still haven't gotten through all of Alex's actions because I need to do a whole other action directory just for his app alone. So Alex, if you're watching, we should hang out and help me make that easier on myself because it's a very manual process, but it worked. I guess the phone is out. Okay, let me do it again. Do it another minute from now. I will lock the phone. 10:21. See what happens then. Does this work on Android? Good sir, it does not. This is the iPhone feature that Android phone fans are going to want to switch for because this is it's Tasker to 1,000%. Plus it works with every app. It's got Apple's special sauce kind of thing in there. It's awesome. I'm very sorry for Android people because this is never going to come to, this is Apple's app. They acquired Workflow and turned it into that. So yeah. Oh, is it almost time? This is really wanting to scan my face. You can see it over there. Hello. Oh, it unlocked. Let's see. Oh, is it time? Oh, it's not working. So I think maybe that's our answer is if it is trying to open an app or maybe this is just buggy. That's very likely because it is. Shortcuts has been pretty buggy, but this is a good one. Maybe I can I'll just clip that moment. This automation did not work when it was locked. So that stuff should work, but that's a good test. The ping first, that still might not be it, but we'll see. That is kind of sometimes it is just the order. So we'll get there. It's not, I think this thing I just want to mention too is so many times people like beat themselves up for not being really good at shortcuts, but I had to go work at Workflow and sit next to the people who made this app in order to learn it this well. So like, I hope people don't ever beat themselves up because It's so hard, and you can see so many times when I'm building these that it just fails. So like some stuff takes a while. I've spent years building these things, so that's why it's to the extent that I have them. So I just always want to encourage people that it is really complex. It's like a whole new way of thinking, especially if you're really used to that app-centric lifestyle. So it's never you. They're not even onboarding. Like going to the shortcuts user guide makes a big difference. But even then, I wrote that for workflow 3 years ago, and so I got to do my own version again, I guess. But yeah, don't beat yourself up if you can't get it right away. It's complex. Here's a question I saw Antonio answer. Are there any shortcuts that would allow you to filter text message? Unfortunately, you cannot do that. Right now, there are new personal automations where you can basically check for when a message comes in. Oops, I'm not showing it. Here it is. Messages, then whether the message contains something or the sender thing contains something, but that's it. You can't actually get the contents of the message once you're there. You're not able to look into your messages yet. So I think there's definitely some security concerns with that. Like if you could just find text messages and publish them to the internet, it starts to get pretty weird. So I think Apple's always been really concerned about that because this is so different than everybody else and how you use these platforms. So yep, that's the answer. Jay's trying to do his taxes with shortcuts. Good luck with that. How are folks doing everything? What app was that? Did I miss an app? You can do that with drafts and take the most recent draft via a shortcut thing. I think I missed what that was about, but I can follow up with Alex later. What are your thoughts about people using shortcuts to beautify their home screens? I think it's pretty cool that so many people know about shortcuts. Yes. Do you know, I can just be honest. Like, I'm a shortcuts creator. So, like, 10 million people learning about shortcuts is pretty awesome. Like, it's just great because I've always felt like this is like an iOS feature built into the OS for the last 2 years. And I feel like the tech press doesn't get it. And so they don't cover it. There's stories that are like, oh, Siri needs to get better. And I'm like, do you guys even like know about shortcuts? The thing that's Apple makes, like, hello, I am like the most biased person. So I think that's sometimes why me complaining about it doesn't feel like it's, I don't know, maybe it doesn't make as big of a difference, but I think this is awesome. The beauty is like more power to you. Let me show you. I joked about this on Twitter. I really wish I'd made this video. It's like last year, shortcuts on the home screen were a huge thing with the power user community, but we just don't have any actual influence with culture and like the teens and stuff like that. So that's why this exploded out. Let me see. Where'd you go? Sorry, I'm trying to find the photo here while not showing my entire photo library. Like, look at this. That right there was one of my home screens before where I did this, but without stacks and without folders. So I manually went through and added those custom home screens things. This looks absurd, but this was like, I went to town on this stuff. And then like the biggest thing is, I think, make your home screen look as great as you want. But I will also say that opening the Shortcuts app every single time sucks. Like I was like, oh, this is terrible. And then basically what I saw was, I'm not doing that, but what I saw was the writing on the wall. It was, this isn't supported. And then when they added in Shortcuts widgets, they've got these awesome widgets where you can run all of your stuff. These have more access than the average widget. To me, that was Apple saying, this is what you should do. Like, not that they said don't do that other stuff, but they kind of just didn't support it, and this was more supported. So I went in, organized all my stuff into folders, and was doing that galore. But then folders take up a lot of space, and they also only have 4 or 8. Each one of these stacks takes up 4 app icons, but holds 10 shortcuts. So this is my method right now. Is like I can run all of my shortcuts from here. So that's to say, like, the widget stuff or the home screen custom icons are awesome, and I think Apple should support it. Is the problem is they haven't really supported it, and so I hope this is like smacking it into their faces that people are already doing this. So please just make it, tap the shortcut on the home screen, just put one right here, and I can just run it like that widget. It seems like pretty straightforward. I think they could do it. I have no idea. They're a giant corporation. Like, they have priorities. That's like one of the reasons I chose not to continue working there. Was I was like, I want to just do this and go full speed on what I can do and not have to get Tim's approval for stuff. So I hope that is a good answer to that, because it's like, please do it, make it what works for you, maybe learn more about shortcuts along the way, and then hopefully Apple can support it better so we're not all jumping into the Shortcuts app just to open other apps. Great question, though. Okay, let me get a couple of those. I thought Toolbox Pro only works on iPhone 7 and prior. Not at all. It's totally modern iPhones and everything. I'm not sure why it would do that, but maybe you're referring to workflow? I'm not sure. Is there a shortcut that opens a web page and logs into it? There is not really. This is one of those things that kind of is a bummer. You can run JavaScript stuff on a web page that's already open, but you can't go in and have it automatically fill out that stuff. That's something that they should add, though. Chris, you can hang with the kids. Good one. You're old now. You're officially old, sir. Can I make my iPhone display a notification from shortcuts on my Apple Watch? If you run the shortcut from your Apple Watch, it can display a notification there, but you can't show a notification over on your watch. That would also be pretty cool. Can you get a list of all supported actions of one app? I don't know what that means. When I select apps and shortcuts, it seems that not all the actions are shown. That basically relies on the developer. I see what you mean. Like, when you're in here looking at a shortcut, the good example, unfortunately, is Overcast. I'm not sure. There's been multiple versions of the Shortcuts APIs, and so some developers didn't set it so I don't have it installed on this iPad, but because it doesn't have good shortcut support. It doesn't always show all of them unless you've used them recently or they choose to have them show up there. So sometimes they're also based in the app. But like, a good example is sometimes there's more from the news one based off of my activity. And that's this kind of thing that doesn't have any other stuff. Whereas show topic now, you can specify those topics. So this is like an activity based one, and this is a more built-in action. Hope that answers that. Hey Tim, can I? Yeah, exactly. No thanks. Yeah, again, the fill forms on a web page isn't something that shortcuts can do right now. That's kind of a bummer. Hello, Soul Gamer. It said transcription was only available prior to iPhone 7. That might just be a bug if you're having that, Paul. So Alex is super responsive on Twitter. The only limitation is that it's only available in English. That could be it too. Hello, Sarisha. Let's see. What's the favorite shortcut you've made? This is a good question. I already used that. What is my favorite shortcut? That's a great question. I have so many for so many different things. Let me just browse these for a second and see what's pops into my head, because it changes over time. Ones that I like. Let me do. Good keyboard shortcut is Control Tab. We'll switch tabs. Control Shift Tab will go up through your folders. Oh, I love these. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I love I got a better version actually. It's not specific to Ulysses. It's just read an article out loud. So though all those dictation things that it can do, I like to go in and get a story and something that I'm listening to, especially my own stories. This is really helpful for writing. And Siri, I've done a whole calculation to have the pacing of words per minute. It's like one over the number of words over how fast you want to go. And then kind of uses that value. This is the volume, I believe it is. And so this will like speak out a whole thing. Let me just use Federico's story. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. Come in here with the share sheet. Another iPad just went off. Speak article. Okay, 15 minutes to read out loud. Let's not do that, but then I'll just kind of walk away from my device. Let's see. Oh no, I have it on mute. Nope.
A few weeks ago,
Oh, there it is.
I came across a post on Reddit claiming that Apple had restored the ability to launch specific sections of the Settings app via shortcuts in iOS and iPadOS 13.1. I was inspired by the discovery to finish working on a project I had long been putting off, documenting all the URLs supported by the Settings app in iOS and iPadOS. After a lot of trial and
So basically, I'll like finish up my own article, do some edits, and then listen to it out loud. Because sometimes you just hear awkward stuff that you're like, oh, that didn't flow well, and you can go back in and change it. And it's like, I don't want to go read that. Just handle it for me, Siri. So that's a great example. I don't know jailbreak stuff. I don't think you can do anything with shortcuts related to jailbreak. So sorry about that. It's kind of like use this instead of jailbreak as much as you can. But all right. Hello, Eddie. How did I make the shortcuts widget? That's a great question. These are all built in. So if you go on, you can tap anywhere on the home screen to enter the officially named jiggle mode. And then up here are all of those widgets. I've got tons and tons, but when you come down to the shortcuts widget, where'd you go? You've got single, double, octuple. Then you grab it, bring it in here, place it in the right spot. And then once you're done with that, you can customize it to be just the right folder. I've only got 3 or a couple in there, so it's got those. And that's how you do it. And then if you want to stack them, I love, especially on the sidebar or the today view for the phone, you just take them both, kind of go in here. I like to do this to make sure everything's going away, and then you can see the UI change a little bit there. Drop it onto a stack. I really wish this specified which folder, but then you can move them around, and that'll change the order of the stacks. So I just painstakingly did that for every single one of my folders, and all these are also the same thing with the single shortcut, as it just has this little picker. Let me jump back in. I saw some other comments. I love shortcut read out loud. Yeah, that's awesome. Speed Siri, exactly. I like to. You're not going to listen to an article for 30 minutes out loud. It's like a podcast. And I am using the default voice. But you can do, I don't think the other ones work as well, but you can change them in here. So that's pretty fun. I also, if you guys noticed, there was an issue for a while where it wasn't using the default voice at all, and it was kind of weird using like an old fallback voice. So this one deep links into the accessibility path for voices. I haven't finished writing those out yet, but this goes all the way into here. Oh, maybe the voices thing went away, but Siri, wait, where is it? Spoken content, and then voices here. And then you can specify like if it's going to do stuff in this language, you got to have these downloaded. And so what was happening for a while was the Siri female one wasn't downloaded. And so you'd have to go in to a different type of thing that looks like the smallest one, change this. And once you did, then the Siri one would show up to download and you could get back to it. This was driving me crazy for a while. And that same thing was using a weird voice. So let's see. Hello. Nope. Well, I think it's working now, so you get the idea. See, switch it to Allison.
My name is Allison.
switch it to that, and then the Siri thing would be then re-available to download, and it takes a bit too. But yes, awesome way to proofread yourself. And this is on my website too. Over here, I think I've got Shortcuts catalog. I think it's in the reading section. I need to make this more visual. It is a little, I'll admit, it's a little text heavy right now, but I think it's in here. Speak article, yeah. And then it's a fairly complex shortcut. Sometimes asks for multiple inputs. You can see how many actions it's got. 5-star, in my opinion. All these different things. Like, look, it works on AirPods, HomePod. It's fairly complex. He uses these actions. So, yeah. Pretty fun. That's, again, all this bonus stuff. This is the part that's available for free, and you can get the shortcut. But all of these different ways to contextualize it are part of my membership, which you guys can sign up for here on my website. Pretty straightforward, and I always definitely appreciate the support. It means I can do lots more streams like this and not worry about trying to get 1 million views on it or something. So always appreciate that. Is it possible to talk? Ooh, this is a solid nerd question. No offense, but to toggle a button by appending a Boolean value at the end of a settings URL scheme. Oh no, that's a great question. That would be a good way to do it, is if you could, by having have that link just say Siri at the end and it could change it. Unfortunately not. This is all, honestly, a lot of those deep links, I hope somebody from the Shortcuts team happens to watch at some point, because I alone, if we just turn Federico's article to jump into settings, just alone to go to those pages and then to change all of those settings, people could use Shortcuts all day long, and it would be easier too. So, oh yeah, you're Greg doing free marketing for me. I'm happy I became a member. Thanks. I appreciate that. I give away, there's 50 free shortcuts right now too, and extra stuff that will come out eventually. I'm trying to keep it all free for everybody eventually, so it's not if you do want to pay, you can support me and get early access basically, and then I'll be sharing it all as soon as I can make 1 billion videos about it. But this is a great question. How's battery life with all those widgets? I don't know. I got to find that out. I don't have the best battery, I think, because I use this battery case and Qi charging. Let me, first of all, I'll do my triple tap. Great example of, is it going to work first of all? Nope. Hiya. Pull that up. I think I have a charging category. Is it down here? Oh no, it's in settings. So yeah, I wish I could I should make smaller groups of this, but battery stuff. Those are those. Oh no, okay, I'm just gonna look for it. I don't know where this one is right now. It's not all of my methods work perfectly all the time. I always want to be clear about that. Check batteries. That's right. Oh, it's in the wrong spot. So we were just seeing that on there, but I can go into battery health. I'm only got 86% battery. This is why I'm on the iPhone upgrade program, is I can get rid of this thing because I've been using it so much. So I don't know, maybe the battery life stuff does drain it a little bit, but they're fairly inactive. And probably what helps is I'm using the Shortcuts widget, which is built by Apple and hopefully optimized. I don't know if better than an indie app or something like that, but in theory, they know what they're doing. This is a great question, and this is why it's a little bit beyond me. What are your thoughts on using Scriptable with Shortcuts? What are the advantages? Basically, you can use JavaScript. I don't know JavaScript, so I don't use it, and that's something that I talked to Simon about specifically, just because I use Shortcuts. I don't It's a awesome medium for people who know JavaScript or want to learn more advanced programming and actual coding to use it with Shortcuts. But for me, I use Shortcuts because I don't want to program. I never have. I probably won't really learn because I can do all the way up to API stuff with shortcuts alone. So it's kind of not my priority. And it sucks that I can't just like absorb it easily from Simon or something like that. But that's definitely part of it is I use shortcuts because I never wanted to type a curly brace ever. And using JavaScript and shortcuts is like, I guess you do get the benefit of shortcuts plus the benefit of all of the advances in programming. But to me, sometimes it just gets beyond. And I'll be honest too, like I'm the shortcuts creator. You guys probably, if you're watching this, want more videos from me, and I haven't put them out yet. So for me to go into JavaScript and shortcuts suddenly is way beyond something that any regular person who doesn't even know shortcuts at all is going to learn. So it's like, here's shortcuts plus JavaScript is like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So yeah, here's Jay. I tend not to lean towards JavaScript if I don't have to. Jay, I think now is the time. Do you want to... Yeah, let me see. I got Skype. Where'd you go? Oh, that's on my iPad. Oh, come on. How's everybody doing so far today? Doing all right? I hope so. Jay, are we friends on Skype? I think we are. Maybe not. Here, I'll send you a text. Oh, okay. Cool. Can I bring that back in? Ben's doing great. That's good. I hope so. Jay, let's get in there. What's your Skype? If people have more specific questions too, feel free to ask. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Can you set a shortcut to activate live listening? Unfortunately, I don't think you can right now. They usually have that kind of thing. So maybe that's part of it. Let me write that down as well. Ooh, I should prepend to my live stream note. What goes at the top of the note? Activate live listening. Oh, it didn't work. Oh no, it took me back to the original one. That's right. I forgot how my thing worked. Bam, bam. Activate live listening. Good to go. All feedback. I'll send feedback to Apple about that. Blah, blah, blah. You know you need unique New York. Do you know of any shortcuts for Notion? I also have done a very basic one that I was sharing with Jackson Hayes. That's his right last name? Where it just uses the deep links into Notion pages in order to open there. So like if you have, I use it in a very limited capacity, but every page does have a URL. So if you put those URLs in here, create a little menu out of them, and then open that link, it should just take you right into that Notion page. So there's no native actions or anything like that, but that's a good way to at least use it a little bit smoother because it is like not the best on iPad. That's kind of, I'll admit, I met the team at Notion 3 years ago and told them about shortcuts and the iPad, and they kind of didn't prioritize it. And so I kind of was like, I'm not going to waste my time on this. Okay, here's Jay. Ooh. I hear my girlfriend making an espresso, and I'm going to ask her if she can bring me one. Jay, I sent you a friend request. I believe. All right, just a second. I gotta pause for a moment and check something. Okay. Fresh espresso. Yeah, I'm having trouble getting connected with Jay for a second. There he is. Okay. I'll just call you. Let's do this.
Yo, yo.
Yo, one sec. Let me bring you in properly.
Let me mute
That's just
your
you
video.
covering me.
No, let me mute your video here.
Cool.
What's going on, man?
Not much. Just doing this stream.
Hey, that's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's my coping strategy right now.
Yeah, I feel you. Let me,
Okay, wait. Let me got that. I'm not sure why we're so wide, but that's fine. I don't need to freak out about it. This is chill day. Oh, you've got a green screen. Should I do it? Can you do a fancy background?
Can you hear me? Is the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah, like my audio interface, like just shut off for a second. I was like, what?
Yeah. Also, if people are watching and can't hear, like, let us know and everything, because we're just chilling.
I don't know what I'm showing right now.
Like a colorful background.
These like Muppets, like what's happening here? Oh, geez, the stuff of nightmares. Oh man, I
just bought a green screen too, so.
Oh, so see,
What
if we're gonna have green screen contest, I mean, I can do the fun thing, and hold on, let me expose my green screen, and then just quick little tug.
Ooh. Nice, I love it.
That's a quick flex.
What is this trying to do? It's a.
Are you trying to like green screen your body?
Just disappear.
I don't know. You might need something stronger than Skype for that.
Oh yeah, is Skype? Oh. I think I'm doing this with Ecamm, so I'm not sure.
What camera am I using? See, this is the problem. This is the problem when you get like people that do video stuff. You're just like, all right, what camera am I using? Oh, yeah, apparently.
I've got a webcam that I keep covered, and so I'll be like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, it's just showing a webcam that you can't see. Does
Skype not support NDI? Because I have like the 3 cameras set up here. Hold on.
Let me see. It might be the way I'm setting it up. Oh, look. I'm now the Shortcuts catalog.
Oh, boy. I can only see you on Skype, so I have no idea what
I see. Let me share my screen with you in Skype so you can properly see. That's part of it.
Yeah, I'm over here just trying to get everything. Wait, why is this not charging?
Okay, now you should be able to see me properly.
Dongle hell over here. What's happening?
Here we go. Crop split screen. Now we're in the middle. Now we look good.
Oh, yeah. See, I need to do something like that. Is it charging now? I think it is.
See, this is how I got to start my stream. And then just...
Wait, why is my face so large? What's happening? Is this what I look like on YouTube?
For anybody who doesn't know, which I would kind of assume everybody, because this happened 3 years ago, is I had never done a podcast and made a video or anything. And you invited me onto Productivity and Tech. And I don't even think I listened to it because I think I was so nervous that I was like, oh God, I sound like an idiot. But you sounded great. You made me a creator, Jay. That's what it is.
I
Really.
mean, I let people know that every opportunity I get because you've exceeded my popularity
I mean,
exponentially.
it helps when you work at a company that gets acquired by Apple. I'm not gonna take credit for being a really talented creator. It's more like everybody wants to learn about shortcuts, and I'm over here barely even getting videos out. But that's all right. It's a process, and I think a big thing that I mean, I was kind of like being emo yesterday, but I was like, the thing that I realized last year was just that it wasn't ready. Like now that we have folders and all these widget stuff, I can just use my shortcuts so much more. Like everybody always asks me, you have 1,000 shortcuts, but like, do you use them? And usually not. Hold on a second. I'm lagging you out.
Yeah, like my computer is like freaking out.
Is that
I
okay
mean, it
now?
doesn't help. I've got like I can probably kill a camera or two. I
But yeah,
thought we were going to be doing like the hot ones, like 3 camera
I mean,
setup.
if you want,
Heck no.
I think you would have to change it through Skype the way this is set up because I can just pull in the Skype feed. But
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I
yeah,
got away from Ecamm Live was like it's so powerful, but at the same time, the second you want to use any of that power, you just like run into like barrier after barrier. And I
that's fair.
can't see chat, by the way. So chat, if you're talking, hi chat. If you're not
Yeah,
talking,
a
well
bit.
then start talking.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely. I was full on OBS, but I think I got my streaming stuff in like March of last year, and then I got like 2 streams out and was like, oh my god, this is all. It's just like getting started with streaming is so hard because you can only really test it when you're live, and so you immediately feel like you're wasting people's time.
I
And
mean, with OBS, you can just record. I mean,
yeah,
actually, you can do that with Ecamm too. You can just record it and then go back and review. But I mean, you know me more like than most of the people on here. Like, I don't practice. What is that? Let's just
yeah,
do it
that's what.
live. Like,
Especially, I mean, that's kind of the point of live too, is that I want to get more out. Like, I think a lot of times with YouTube videos, specifically with shortcuts, me trying to like script explaining how one shortcut works would take me like 2 weeks just to figure out how to proper. But then I just do it live and say it, and it's finding a happy medium between the two is always a deal. But yeah, live stream stuff is like even we're figuring it out still while we're doing it. So
I
it
mean, I
happens.
just jumped into an industry that is so confused on how to do presentations. So it's like we went from, you travel. Oh, I guess for those that don't know, I'm a developer
Yeah,
advocate.
that's what I was gonna say.
So I'm a developer advocate for Elastic. We make search for websites and things and observability and so many more. If my boss heard me describe it like that, she'd be like, "What?" But uh, the long and the short of it is we used to travel everywhere, whether it was like tech meetups, conferences, things like that. And now the demand has been flipped to like, hey, you need to have your online presence like tip top shape. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be creating content, you need to be doing blog posts, YouTube videos, like live streaming and podcasting if you can, and like all this stuff that I was doing already. But the idea of like, am I allowed to use profanity? Because like
Slightly.
kind of okay. If I was doing like
It's
a
crappy.
half-ass job
Yeah, that's
everywhere. Like
fine.
it wasn't like I wasn't doing the best work. I wasn't doing my best possible work. And now that it's like, not that there's a microscope on me, but
Yeah,
there's a lot more people looking and talking and observing. So it's like I have to make sure that my game is on point. And that's actually why I refer to you for a lot of things like,
hey, thanks.
hey, I need to be making sure my streaming setup is on point, my shortcuts are, all working, and then also creating kind of systems that allow me to fluidly move from one context to another. So,
Nice.
we're all figuring it out, but
What are some
some
of
of us are
those?
getting paid to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that's always what's always hard too is like I'm doing this full time for like my personal creative stuff, and so just the amount of time alone is like in one week I could spend more time than what most people have time in a month or something like that. What are some ways you shift contexts like that?
Very badly. No, Probably the biggest one is because I'm a developer, we kind of have some built-in tools that allow us to say like, this is the environment that does all of this thing. Like this is the environment that does all of this other thing. Like here are all
Yeah.
the things that are installed. So kind of being able to quickly just jump saying from I'm working on a website to I'm working on a demo, I can just say, activate this demo. And then from there, like I get moved into the right directories and all this stuff. And then if we want to get really nerdy and productive about it, we could talk about like bunch and hook and kind of all those things,
Ooh,
which
bunch. That's a great one. Merlin always talks about that. 'Cause,
funny and funny enough, I wrote the Alfred plugin for bunch and yeah, use at your own risk. It works, I think.
I mean, shouldn't it be fairly straightforward? Just opens the bunch thing and then the bunch does the rest. But
So
yeah, let's
so
talk here. Let me see if I can bring this into.
see now I actually want to be looking at your
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, that's
so I see
fair.
what you're
I mean,
doing.
I'm just doing the window. Let me see. Is that looks way too big? Hold on a second. I'm just showing like the bunch page, and we're just down in the corner. So
Actually, I'm gonna just I gotta look around my microphone here. I'm gonna pull up.
oh, you just got louder.
That's not good.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's something on my side, but I'll turn you down a bit. There
I
it
didn't
is.
change anything. Oh, there we go.
Hello, me. Yeah, so this is a utility from Brett Terpstra that sits in your dock or menu bar, and then isn't it like a plain text?
Yeah, that's the cool thing. I should probably have just shown my screen because then I can just
Yeah, that's fair. If you want to do that, I can put it up.
screen share. Oh,
Is it?
Skype.
Do you have
Skype.
to do the permissions?
Yes.
Do you want to do that real quick and call me back, or if you want? Yeah.
It'll only take a second.
Well, it might make you restart. I think is what it is.
Nah, you just tell it later. It still works.
Oh, interesting. That's good.
Oh, okay, maybe not. Okay, yeah, I'll call you right back.
Okay, cool. So I'll keep showing people on here while you're doing that. Here, I'll hang up on you. So basically, when we're in here with bunch, it's a little menu bar thing where you can basically click a different context that you want it to have set up, and it will launch a bunch of simple commands. Let me see. Here you go. Here's the actions. Like I wanted to launch Skype and Ecamm at the same time. Let's see. Is Jay coming back? Oh, there he goes.
Okay, I think I got it now.
Okay. Let me see. Back in the broadcast.
Yep.
Here, I'll
It's
get you a
saying
little.
that-
There we go. Cool. And then you want to share your screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should already be doing
Oh,
it.
okay. Let me hold on. Ecamm is all over
Ecamm
the
is not
place.
happy with things.
Oh no, I lost my browser switcher. There it is. There, Jay, active speaker, shared screen. And then we will be the little guys. No. There we
Yeah.
go. That's your desktop?
That's my desktop.
Okay, not mine.
I'm very, very, very basic here. So, oh wait, no, wait, what? Where's it going? I'm trying to look at your YouTube video at the same time as like presenting. There we go.
It's like
good.
30 seconds behind too.
I need to use the interview feature on Ecamm Live. Yeah, I mean that could possibly work too. All right, so yeah,
That's
Bunch
fine.
is this little joker right here. I am really bad with this because I haven't really played with it too much. But let's say, for instance, one of the things that I do is I do newsletters for folks occasionally. One of those is like the Talk Python newsletter. Shout out to Michael Kennedy for letting me always talk about him and promote his work instead of my own. So whenever I'm doing that, I don't want to think about all of the different steps involved. I just want to open it up and then go and see everything.
Here,
So I can see MailChimp.
I'm catching up with you, by the way, while we're doing this. So I'm zooming
Okay.
in so people can see. But that's cool. Keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
So it opened all three of
So-
those tabs?
Exactly. So it opens up the latest episodes for each of the ones that I'm going to talk about, and it opens up MailChimp so that I can just log in and do what I got to do.
Nice.
And then if I'm done with that, I can just say, hey, quit that.
Oh,
And
nice.
the quit doesn't seem to work all the time, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Usually I just quit Safari. Boom, just as easy. And as you mentioned, the thing about this that's so cool is it's just plain text. So
Yeah.
if I
Can you
go
see
to
change bunch?
yeah, change bunch. Oh no, not change bunches folder. It's the other one. It's reveal bunches. Normally I would just open up this folder and look at it, but I can come in here. Let's open this. Ignore the evaluation thing. I've already paid for this thing like 3 times, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Probably have to just fill in the
Oh shoot.
your automation
That's
for your light. Turn
fun.
it off.
Nope. That's called a battery dying, which is weird because this thing is supposed to be plugged in. Maybe it just overheated.
Yeah.
Can you still see me?
Yeah. If it's, we got your screen at least for now. If that needs to charge for a second or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it says it has like 3 hours, so I think it just overheated. Yeah, it's showing me the too dang hot sign. All right, I'll let that cool down for a little bit and
that's good
just
for
keep
now.
going. So yeah, as you can see, it was as simple as like I added
let me
3
zoom in.
URLs to a text file, and now it's there. It works, and that's all I have to do. But wait, there's more. If I did something like this, well, not this because this just combined 2 files, which is probably not a good thing. There we go.
Yeah.
So if I do something like this, I can say like, okay, I'm about to record my audio newsletter thing. I can just do like audio hijack and it opens up audio hijack. And then I'm still trying to figure out the like getting audio hijack to actually open the window that I want.
Mm-hmm. Is that what that solo audio one is?
Yeah. And that's why it got mad at me and said, I don't know what solo audio is, but I can just like save that.
So it's like if it has multiple windows, you could have it specify which one as opposed to the other one.
Exactly.
So this is, I mean, this really is like, I mean, especially here, let me switch to my desktop real quick. Is this going to work? Maybe not because you're sharing your screen. Huh? We're all over the place. But yeah, he's got all of these different ways that you can use like XX, file, app name, quit the app, launch it when you're closing by doing 2 exclamation points.
Exactly. And I really do want to get kind of deeper into the logic of it. Sorry if you can hear a dog yelling in the background.
Yeah, no worries.
That's daytime work. Dogs are outside. Yeah. I'm inside. But yeah, so like you can really do a lot with this because it's not just a level of open and close files. It is open URLs, open very specific apps. You can open the files that open specific apps. You can tell a file to open in a particular app. But then you can also do some amazing stuff like adjust your do not disturb settings, adjust date,
Nice.
Night mode and day mode and all those things. And you can adjust your volume and what audio interfaces you're using. So it is one of those things where, as someone who talks about this like he's crazy, I should do more with it. But honestly, I just haven't needed to yet.
Yeah.
And
some of it's good enough, it sounds like.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it really is. It's like good enough. And just being able to have other systems in the background kind of managing things for you so you don't have to create an automation for everything. Cough, cough, Matthew Cassinelli.
hey now. Also, I keep seeing my mic thing is switching, so there's a couple sound issues. Sorry about that, folks. But
that's cool. Let me see if my
I think that's what.
If not, I'll just turn my camera off.
I would do more where it opens multiple apps if shortcuts could, and reduce the amount of shortcuts that I have into smaller ones. I think also like I could do one, like a lot of times one folder could be a single shortcut that just does those same things in the folder, but I kind of choose not to because of that Siri activation method. So it's like it's more like the amount of folders is more relevant to me now than the single amount of shortcuts, because those are just like, if your bunch does multiple things, I would have like 3 shortcuts for that basically. But I think one thing that I'm curious about, like,
how do I stop sharing my screen?
Oh, I stopped it on the stream already.
Okay, I'm like it's telling me that I'm sharing my screen still. I'm like, what is happening?
Sorry. It's a whole whole thing to figure out.
Yeah.
But I'd assume you can trigger bunches using shortcuts using SSH, right?
You could. And another thing that's kind of new to Bunch is you can create bunch templates to call other bunches. So,
Okay.
yo, dog, I heard you like Bunch. You can bunch while you bunch so that your bunch is Bunch.
I gotta have
Like,
Brett on a stream for like 4 hours and just make all of my shortcuts into bunches. And it does sound like it's like Stream Deck without the Stream Deck and like Keyboard Maestro without the Keyboard Maestro in some ways.
well,
Maybe not as advanced, but
and he actually did a blog post that allows you to use your
nice.
Stream Deck to trigger bunches. But and I mean, the thing with Bunch that I do like is that it is a Brett doesn't do like the bare minimum. He always like takes it to 11. So you can use URL activations
Oh, yeah.
to activate and deactivate bunches, which means that you can program your Stream Deck
Oh.
to activate different bunches.
Which I've done. I have my things URL schemes on my Stream Deck for the same reason. URL schemes from iOS. If the app on Mac supports the same thing, you could do it. So that's always fun. Those deep links, like all the settings ones I was showing earlier.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. So I guess the Stream Deck probably would be a good way. Even you could have a shortcut, activate the Stream Deck,
Mm-hmm.
which activates the bunch, which activates the thing. It's
Yeah,
just
which I mean, we
automation all the way down.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like being kind of going back and forth between iOS and like Mac OS. I'm spending most of my day on Mac OS, but as stuff tends to happen more and more, now it's like I don't want to use my computer for stuff. So that's where a lot of like me silently stalking all the work that you're doing is coming in handy because it's like I want to use my iPad when I'm not thinking about work.
Yeah,
And
but it's
that's
not. It's for non-work purposes specifically.
for I would say for non like deep work purposes.
Yeah,
Like if
which
I'm
makes
if I'm
sense.
doing some work related stuff, like I mean part of my job is to go on Twitter and make sure that I'm engaging. So it's like
Okay.
I don't want to have Twitter open and be standing at a desk like just observing like a
Yeah,
TweetDeck
that's
feed.
fair.
It's nice if I can kind of create, an environment that allows me to observe what's going on there, but do it from my iPad. And the same thing with like if I'm talking with people over Slack, if I'm, sitting in a Zoom call and it's like maybe I don't want to take the Zoom call from my desk. Maybe I want to take it, from the living room where we have
Yeah.
AC and stuff like that. So it's like there's a lot of reasons for me to want to almost in the way that I think Apple originally designed the idea of an iPad to kind of be an extension of my workspace.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I could totally get that. I think an interesting thing that I've been going through is I just got this monitor that I'm using now, and I do it like, I mean, you were joking in the chat that, oh my gosh, I'm streaming from a Mac. It's like, you can't stream
Yeah.
from an iPad. So that alone. And
I
like,
mean, you can. It's just terrible.
well, I can't, part of it too is I can't stream the iPad when I'm streaming from the iPad. Like I have this shot, or wait, is it not? It's not changing. But I have the other one where I do the iPad, bring it in. It's all sideways now, but like this is my thing is I think a big thing that I was sold on, and you're watching the feed too, but just like showing people how an iPad works. I wasn't big on screencasting as much as just like here's how I'm actually doing all of this. But I totally get that with the extension of it because it isn't the best for every job. Like I think that's one thing that I'm also trying to get into is just like use the right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
A lot of time the iPad fills that space a lot more and more. And like the MacBook has become for many people it has been for years, but for me too, it's like this is a desktop computer that you can move as opposed to a laptop. Like I don't actually use it on my lap a lot of times. It's set up on the computer and it's just like in case I need to move it. But now that the iPad fills a lot of those roles, it does it, and in some ways better. Even like as a video creator, I do scripts and handwrite the stuff on there. I mean, for me, a huge part does come down to like you can automate it easily. I think one thing that I could even see like I love all of Brett's stuff, but like I'll have to learn that syntax for a bunch in order to use
Yeah.
it. Versus, I mean, Shortcuts has its own syntax. Like that's not in no way is that perfect yet. Oh wait,
Well,
here.
I think the headache. Let me get a little bit closer here. Go into the intimate conversation, I guess. The I don't know what I just broke, but didn't sound good. The problem with, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Take a second. I need it.
Stuff's like blowing up in front of me, like,
Nice.
The problem that I have on both sides is on iOS, it really does feel like there's one obvious and clear way to do a thing. Well,
Yeah.
obvious way. Clear, not so much at times, but
There's
on
one
the
way you
Mac,
can, maybe.
yeah, it's like you can do things, and I think that's where it's so important to have like folks like Adam who are doing, Toolbox Pro, Widget Pack, all of these things, like
Oh yeah.
all the different ways to
Adam
do a
Tao, you mean?
thing.
Just to
Yeah.
okay. I thought you were talking about Alex. I was like, whoop. But
No.
yeah,
But like
cool.
when you have, I mean, even scriptable and drafts and like all of these things that are creating their own ways to go about doing a thing, but then at the end of the day, it all has to route back into the Apple way.
Hmm.
And that becomes so much of a headache that it's like I don't necessarily want or need Apple to like approve every automation decision that I make. And that's where doing stuff on the Mac can be liberating because it's like, yeah, I can just use Keyboard Maestro. And if I
Yeah,
want to just
totally.
drop in widgets and I don't want to have to learn a new syntax, I can. But then at the same time, it's like the Mac suffers from the exact opposite problem where like there are so many ways to do it. I think our friend Alex was asking about Launch Bar versus Alfred.
Yeah.
And then when you have, and for them, it's like, I have two choices, but I'm sure there was someone that wanted to tweet, well, what about Lacona?
Yeah.
What about, what about just using, Apple's Spotlight search? And it's just like, just pick one. Like,
Yeah.
there are
You
too
don't
many
have to.
ways on Mac. There are not enough ways on iOS. And you almost have to start blending the two to kind of get that mixture
Yeah, that's totally
of
true.
like, if there is a simple way to do it, maybe I do it on iOS. Like, I wanted to kind of show this off, which
Sure.
I
Let me
don't
bring you back in.
have. Well, I have to mirror my screen. Oh,
Or I still
wrong.
got it shared. You're good.
Well, no, I need to mirror my iPad.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I
it
see
should pop up
myself
at some point.
in
Oh, you
Skype.
see yourself? Oh, yeah, there
Very
you
laggy.
go. Nobody connect. Nobody connect. It's like on-screen codes. It's like, oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
You could have like gave me like a notification or something, but why did it not? Oh, because I
Maybe it's
can't
like
type. What do you think about the Magic Keyboard for like an 11-inch iPad?
I haven't used that one. That one is a
Okay.
lot smaller. I'd totally if you're struggling, I can see why.
Oh God, I'm hearing myself. All right. Yeah, typing is not fun. But yeah, so I have this like AQI thing, and I kind of showed it on my iPhone, but
Oh
on my
nice.
iPad as well. So if I hit that, like it's using widget pack, but it's still coming back to get AQI. And if I show what that looks like, I'm simply just like getting the weather, getting the air quality index because,
Oh.
we live in California where fires are a thing.
Yep.
And
Like over 100 out there right now.
yeah, so it's just telling me like you have to think about how you're creating this. And this is why I don't in many cases.
Same.
Like in order to make this work, I had to display display the two texts and then add those to a list, then create a vertical stack of that list, then display more
Yeah.
text, add that view and the previous list to another list, and then create another stack for that just to make it. And it's like I could have done it as like 3 items, but then like everything gets labeled, and this is actually supposed to be a horizontal stack, not a vertical stack, but
Yeah.
whatever, it works. So I'm not gonna mess with it. And
Yeah,
that's
I
kind
see
of
what
the
you mean
other
now.
thing. Like editing shortcuts to me is such a nightmare because when you go to edit something and it like doesn't work, like
It's
this
hard to
this
tell what's happening. Yeah.
yeah, like this AQI tool, it can change or it can not change, and it's like it depends on how your device feels that day.
Yeah. I mean, I think iOS 14 has been pretty bad about just like some stuff doesn't work. I will say too, like a third party app and how they design shortcuts for shortcuts right now is still somewhat early days. And so some of that of like, what's the logic of building a shortcut can be pretty complex, especially when it's like a shortcuts meta one about widgets for shortcuts, using shortcuts. Like I haven't
Yeah.
even really gotten too far into widget pack for the same reason of it is like another layer on top. But I also just specifically about the shortcuts aspect. I think what is really hard is understanding how content flows between actions because it usually comes out of the one before it. But then in order to go back and check what's happening in a previous step, you kind of just like don't know. And it only shows the last step. And so I use a lot of alert type things to preview that as I'm going through the shortcut. But I think shortcuts needs like a step through mode. Even specifically, here, let me go back out of picture in picture. You ever use Swift Playgrounds? Because I think it can go step by step and show you once you go to this step, here's what happened there. And once you go to that step, and it goes slow too, because shortcuts is just like, whoosh, and then it's like, what? I don't even know what happened. So that's totally fair. I think that's one of the big reasons Apple hasn't really talked about it a whole ton. It's not a full-fledged app the way you would think it could be from Apple, where you just open it and you can figure it all out. Like, I think that's kind of, it is a creation by acquisition, and so that's kind of just what happens in those situations is we hadn't figured that out as workflow, and so once it goes into Apple, they have all those other layers as well too, and just like what is it to teach shortcuts to everybody in the world is, trust me, it's a hard problem. I try to do that by myself sometimes. It's like, so to some people it clicks and to others it doesn't. I think that's why it's like streaming, I got to do a lot more with these to be able to show some of those areas of like how to troubleshoot as you're going. And I hopefully can highlight areas to Apple that are still need improvement too, because there's workarounds, but it probably is like esoteric knowledge that's trapped in my head.
I mean, at least it's not like Automator.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge thing is if they did bring shortcuts to Mac, like that would be so cool. And then you could just kind of do the same stuff, and then it doesn't have to be per platform. And even you can go sit on your butt on the couch and build the shortcuts on your phone and then use them on your Mac and stuff like that would be all really cool.
My hope is with the Apple Silicon like idea that's going to become a thing, because you then have kind of an easier integration from the Mac and Apple side, or the Mac and iOS side together. And it's like, okay, you're running the same chipsets, like some of the command structure that's going on behind the scenes that most of us nerds don't even think about is like, hey, it's all the same now. So you should, in theory, be
Yeah.
able to run shortcuts. And I think we've seen some people build examples of like, hey, this is what shortcuts would look like,
Well,
on the Mac. And
the home app has the automations tab, which has convert to shortcut, which is basically shortcuts at that point, kind of the thing I was showing earlier. So it like technically there is a version of that stuff. I think the big thing, even with that, is the same way you don't have the same apps to run home automations with the same power that you can do with personal automations. Mac doesn't have that either. But if we got Apple Silicon with, I can run iOS apps, it seems like I honestly have no idea. So like, I always feel like I'm like teasing something, but I have no idea. So I'd love to see that. I have a couple questions too that I didn't answer to that I want to just check real quick. One is Ryan is saying, do you have a shortcut to track votes tonight? No. I don't do COVID stuff either, because it's like, first of all, it's really depressing to try to make charts about how many people are dying right now. Like that's not,
yeah.
and I don't want to like see it every day. Like it isn't something that I can personally influence with that. Like voting, please go vote if you haven't. Please, dear God, stop watching the stream if you haven't voted. Like that is a priority today. But otherwise, I don't think that stuff is going to help in the short term. It's going to only create anxiety and probably be wrong and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing I leave aside.
I don't like to make shortcuts on things that I can't control. Like,
Yeah. Let me
like
just see how much doom I should feel today. Like,
yeah, watching air quality index, like
yeah,
it's
it's
because my
important.
daughter wants to go outside and play. So it's like, let me make sure like
It's
I'm not
okay.
gonna
Yeah,
choke out because I have like really chronic asthma, but then also
yeah,
let me then like I don't want like my daughter out there as well, especially like when half the state's on fire. So, you want to do things that you can like inform yourself, but at the same time, like I don't want to deal with that.
yeah. Exactly. All right, here's another one. Do you write in Markdown? If you do, what text editor do you use on iPad or Mac? I kind of assume you do, so
Yeah.
because you're a developer. I
Yeah, I
do as
love
well.
Markdown. My entire website is generated from Markdown, but um, I use real nerd talk. I use Vim, which is old school
Nice.
black and white screen. Like you gotta enter special commands just to exit. I use that for writing kind of short stuff if I know that it's going like on my website or if I'm writing code.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm just writing, then I'm using either Drafts or NV Ultra. NV Ultra is kind of like I'm working on a thing. That thing is going to become something I know that it's going to be. Like I'm working on a book. I'm not anywhere near ready to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm working on like some stuff for work, like different blog posts and things like that. Those will live in NV Ultra. Any of my presentations, I build my PowerPoint slides in Markdown and then use DeckSet to
Oh,
create
nice.
the
Deck is
slide.
so good.
DeckSet is
The
amazing.
can you show some of that? Do you have one or
Yeah,
something? Because
yeah.
that's a great.
I have a how to live stream demo in DeckSet that I
Nice.
can show. So
Let's get
let's
us
see
back
here.
in here with the pip. Should be good to go.
All right, so
Uh, something. Oh wait, hold on. I tapped the wrong thing. This is Ecamm's going slow for me for
rookie.
a second. There we go. It won't let me put myself back in. Okay, there we go.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna show both sides of this. Left side, or I guess my left side, is the markdown for it. Right side is the actual presentation. So you can see like it
Oh, it's
just
going
looks
full
like a.
screen. But yeah,
Oh, is it?
but that's still
Oh, did it go full screen?
for a second it did when you played it. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, should be good now. So yeah, like I just Ecamm, really expensive. Wirecast, even more expensive. Like all of these images and things like that are just presented from this audio or this text file. And
Mm-hmm. Here, let me zoom in on that side too, real quick, because I just want to make sure people can see it all. Is that's just simple. Like you have a markdown header, getting started with live streaming, and two tags J Miller, and then that automatically generates the slide part of it. So you don't have to sit there. It's basically slide. It's the content of the slides without the design, and you
yeah,
can include the images as you go and things like that, and then it just automatically creates it. Can you
and
like
like
just tab through the presentation real quick?
yeah,
Oh, nice. You just typed it in and it automatically
yeah, I literally
updates.
just typed it in and saved, and it just automatically updated. Like when you can do that, and like every page is separated with these three markers.
Okay, yeah. Here, go through the whole presentation. I want to see what the variety of stuff. It's like image in the
Uh,
background.
yeah, you can do like an image in the background. If we do that, you have yeah, Bob Ross, spirit animal. Let's go. Where is this? You can add notes if that's your thing. I don't know why I blew that up into a separate right here. So yeah, like it's literally like two lines. Hey, here's the image. Here's my title, and boom, that's the result that you get.
Nice. That's cool.
You can put images in columns. Some of these are kind of goofy because they're different sizes, but I
Yeah,
mean
that's
that's
nice though.
all. And it has its own like
Here, let me zoom in on
again,
that over there.
just like everything else that we talk about, it has its own markup language
Yeah.
that you have to kind of learn, but it's like a subset of Markdown. So like right inline fit just says, or right inline fit, and then don't worry about YouTube. That's just a descriptor for me. Um, right tells it to move it over to the right side. Inline means to make it inline, and then fit means to squelch it down so that it fits on the screen.
Nice.
Like if I don't, like, I could probably get rid of some of this, but you just kind of learn over time of like what you want to add, and then that adjusts. Like all of this seems to be going great, but the second I remove one thing, boom, see, it moves it over to the middle.
Nice. That's cool. It does so real time.
Yeah, that's really nice that you're able to just kind of go through and make it like that. And then you can even like split it up and you can add like columns to it. Like if I just do column like that, and then we do another column.
I've forgotten to mention, because this isn't labeled on the stream, you're Jay Miller, and you do you want to reintroduce yourself to anybody else who's been watching?
No.
Yeah. You're the most attractive man alive.
The man with the hair. I wanted to go with the man with the hair, but there's another, like, there's a popular podcaster that's I think his Twitter handle is like Dev with the hair. So I was like, you suck. But yeah, all right. So I'm Jay Miller. I am a podcaster. I do the Pitch Show, formerly known as Productivity in Tech, formerly known as this is where Matt Cassinelli got his start. So yeah, I used to podcast a lot about productivity. I've kind of gone the Merlin Mann route, and now I'm like a productivity hater. I'm like the anti-productivity person.
I mean, I know what you mean. I think everybody who's in productivity goes through also phases of like some just particular. I mean, it is just like the more you spend learning about productivity and not doing the stuff, you'll not be getting anything done. So that's the whole thing.
There's a giant rant about productivity gurus as a whole, but many of them are my friends, so I tell them.
I'm like, God, those jerks.
I tell them first, and then like the productivity game is very secretly like a racket.
I mean, I totally get that. I think that's one thing that I always do struggle with, making shortcuts and videos. I mean, like today is different doing a 2.5 hour live stream, because sometimes people do want to tune in for a long time, but I really want to make sure that what I'm sharing is useful and not just like a shortcut, but something that you'll use and get value out of, and not just like, here's a bunch of ways to spin your wheels. So I think that's what's hard. But you kind of, for certain apps, like I think I'm more comfortable with it because we got acquired by Apple. And so like this is on your iPhone. This is on every iPhone. It makes me feel justified that it does feel like the future in some ways. And so like this is going to be a continued focus for them going forward. And so it is worth the investment compared to something, or even, I think I was trying to write clickbait YouTube titles the other day just as practice. And it's like the one app that you need to learn to make all of your other apps better. That is true of shortcuts. And so sometimes that is helpful, but I get it. I personally spend too much time sometimes just doing productivity type things and not the actual work that I was writing down in that task manager. So,
I mean, the problem is, and this is an example as I'm slowly watching your number of viewers drop because I'm on the air.
No, we're just saying.
It's this very simple. People are expecting a like holy grail product, a holy grail shortcut, a holy grail app. Like they want this thing that's going to be the one thing that does everything that they want and more. And that would be like, I mean, just kind of setting that expectation for anything is just a recipe for disaster. Like,
what do you mean? It's not a good idea to build 1,200 shortcuts?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing that I love about shortcuts is that as it's grown over time, it's grown out of the innovation that its users have created. Like, I love that.
Can't wait to see what you do with it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we did a thing. It's for this. And then we're like, oh, hey, but that widget thing is dope, though. Can we just do more of that?
That's a great one.
And then, like, I think another good example is I can never remember what the name of the app is called now. It's not Pushcut. It's the other one.
Is one of them, but
Pushcut is one of them. I'm thinking of the one that like set up organization for all of your shortcuts.
Oh, the folders, launch cuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like the very next the very next, like when iOS 14 came out, like that was like the big feature for me was
Yeah.
like, hey, they have folders at like a limited scope. I mean, it's nowhere near what LaunchCuts does, but it was something. And the fact that I could use that to make widgets, I have a widget on my phone that is just like all of the lights,
Yeah, that's a
all
great
of the
one.
lights that I want to turn on. And it's like I have like going to bed, which turns off all of the lights except for, the one in my bedroom. I have work mode, which turns off all of the lights except for the ones in the office because I will forget this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't necessarily need something that's going to say like, oh, well, it's 3:15 in the morning and the motion sensor doesn't detect anything, so Jay must not be working. I don't need to turn on the lights, but at
Yeah.
3:45 maybe he will, so let me turn it on. And it's like we want more than what we really need.
I think that's
And
yeah. I think a thing that's interesting for me coming from workflow and now it's called Shortcuts, and this app is about taking a shortcut to a from A to B and not having your entire workflow be solved. I think like sometimes workflow was too ambitious in that way, and Shortcuts is a healthy like step, because I think that a lot of, I mean, let me show, actually, this is a good example. I love to actually practice what I'm preaching because sometimes that's always hard and I wrote this in my newsletter of, that's one thing that sucks about being in this position that I am specifically of like, I'm basically making my own gallery, which is what I did when I worked at Workflow. So that's why I have so many. But I have this shortcut that's called Shortcuts Stats, and it looks at all of the actions in the shortcut in each of my shortcuts and kind of does statistics on them. Of course, stupid sync bugs. But it gets all of them and then uses literally like the statistics, calculate statistics action to get the sum, maximum, average, median, and mode. And then I wrote it all out in slightly more plain English. And I'm saying this all too, so if you can't see it, Jay, it'll be there. But oh no, that's gonna take a second. Sometimes shortcuts literally just run better when they're closed, which is also another stupid thing. It's like it doesn't have to show the UI, and so it just goes faster. But let me see. This might take a second. It's like calculating the average number of actions in each of my shortcuts. And
oh my gosh,
yeah, you can
that's
see, oh no.
that's way too much.
This is just for me because I could too. But
Yeah.
apparently
And
it's not going to work unless it shows the Toolbox Pro action, which I don't know why it would need to do that.
And
Or
there's
is
nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with like just building a thing because you
yeah, I mean that's
can
a
or
whole.
you want to. It's just don't call that productivity. It's not
Well,
productivity.
okay, that was sorry. I didn't get to
Yeah.
the actual point of it. Is the here, let me show the screenshot that I took it when I did the results. Is it looks like I have these numbers are impressive. These are like fancy, oh, I've done so much. But and this I didn't even make this shortcut. The average shortcut is 11 actions. The typical shortcut has 5. Most of the shortcuts in my library only have 3 actions. 2 of those actions are the comment action where I explain what's going on. And so the majority of my shortcuts are 1 or 2 actions, like maybe 5, kind of 11 sort of there once you're kind of getting into it. And then I have like 10 that are maybe over 100. And so I think that's what's so hard is it looks like I'm like, the lights turn on and it like and like just do all these things, but it is a lot of quick things that I've realized over time actually do. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it on my phone. I'm not going to go change
Yeah.
just these 2 lights and not those ones. But if it just happens, I'll do it. And so shortcuts for me has a lot of ways become not about like solving problems that I have. It's not about taking away time and speed. It's about adding it on top for me. It's like getting forward where I just taking the shortcut and making it go quicker, but not necessarily the whole like process. It does all of these fancy things. And so I have some that are really good. Usually those are specifically related to work and the type of work that I'm doing, not in my personal. Like I don't need a personal thing that's like, I don't know, like everything is solved for my day. It is like awareness. It's about changing some of the physical stuff around you. pulling data out that would otherwise be trapped, or getting into a deep place. Like a big thing that I had with the widgets, I could probably delete like 150 shortcuts because of widgets, because they provide like the things widget I can set to just my podcasting tasks. I had a shortcut that did that and took me to that spot. Now it shows it on my home screen and I can just get rid of the widgets. So like another thing that I would love to see Apple do is see what we're doing and Sherlock every shortcut we make and just make it a feature. I don't have to use the shortcut. I'm just doing it because that's where it is now. But again, like what we were saying, use the right tool for the right job. Maybe something that can get you further when you're like, let's say you have existential dread all day long and you don't want to do something. I can have my shortcut that says like, here's the thing you need to do next. And I tap that and all it does is open the right app. But otherwise I just kind of wouldn't feel like it. So I think that's something that I might like clip this out of our show and put it into like, you don't have to have a shortcut for everything or something that solves your whole day. A lot of times, a couple of things that suddenly are really useful to you. I think someone on Twitter was saying, he's like, I use the Overcast one 10 times a day. And I'm like, great. Sounds awesome. Sounds like you're using it a lot. Like that doesn't mean you have to use 1,000 shortcuts every day. And I don't either. Like I'll maybe use them in a month or something like that. So
The problem that I have is I see shortcuts that are designed to just exist. Like I don't know. Can you still see my screen?
Yes. Here, let me.
Yeah, you don't have to share it with everyone else. It's fine. So like, if I'm doing my show notes for, the Pit Show, which I mean, again, it's something that I've built over time. Like, I just use Text Expander, and it's like,
yeah, Text Expander is pretty solid too.
Like, do a thing. Like, that's all I have to do, which I still need to update the snippet.
Here, wait, people can't see it. So do you not want to see
no,
the drafts?
It's
is what
fine.
it is? Okay.
Yeah, but it's like I went through the process of creating like a shortcut that would open up, like I said, going into that bunch to where like if I wanted to do the newsletter, I had another one that would literally open up Transistor, and this is why. I mean, I guess you can show this. This is fine. Sure. But yeah, it would open up Transistor. You can see, failing podcast. But
mine,
like
same.
I can see like all of this stuff, and then it would go to like new episode, and then it would want to populate all of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. But it also just took me like 5 seconds to just go to transistor.fm, log in, and then hit new episode.
I mean, that makes sense. I think sometimes trying to automate something that could just be faster in another way, I think what's hard, like, I don't totally agree because you just have to remember that. Like, do you, like, not to be all philosophical, but like, do you have extra energy in brain space during the day? Because I don't. Like, I need to do these things to, like, I have like 13 areas of focus that I'm doing. So obviously that's part of the major problem is I'm trying to stream YouTube videos, blog posts, membership, podcast, all this other stuff like photography, just personal life and things like that too. So for me, I think as a multimedia creator, basically, I think that's where it helps is I do have those areas of focus. I think to me, it is like coming back. Oh, by the way, I'm still showing all your stuff.
No, this is fine. This is fine. I want you to. I want you to show this because I want to show you where I do think things that can be automated are important.
You're a developer too. I will say you have higher needs than me.
Yeah. So a good example for this is I do have like this is where I start looking at automation and like ways to hack the system. So the latest episode that I put out was part 2 called Steal This Idea. Basically telling people, hey, look, I come up with a bunch of ideas. You have my permission to take them and make them your own. Like, I don't want to own half of it. I just need to get it out of my head.
Yeah.
But
same for me.
I have access to the Transistor API, which ignore any of the, like, don't worry about the code. It's just, this is literally just Python code that says, hey, when I type in...
Oh, they have an API.
Yeah, their API is amazing, and you can use it. You can even use shortcuts for this too. I just use Python because Python's what I do.
That makes sense.
Let me run some Python magic really quick because otherwise this isn't going to work.
See, to me,
Uh,
this is already like
no, this,
very overwhelming.
yeah. Well, normally I wouldn't have to do that. Normally I would just have to do this. Python, transistor, content.
Oh, I see. Just run the script.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just run the
exactly.
script. And then at that point, if I go to content and I go to steal this idea, I have my blog post for
But
that
you had
episode.
to see, all that Python. I have a shortcut that just did the same thing for me, basically.
But how long did it? So, but that's the thing is, how long did it take for you to write that Python versus
Through the shortcut.
writing it in the shortcut?
I think I did it on a stream in 2.5 hours.
So I wrote my code in about 15 minutes.
I mean, I also like streamed it as part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, so how long did it take you to learn Python?
Oh, I mean, like 7 years.
See,
So it's like
that's kind of
that's the whole thing. Is like, but that's what I'm saying is like a lot of this, and this isn't what it looked like initially. It was like print one thing, make it work. Print another thing, make it work. Connect this to this other thing, make it work.
that sounds exactly like how I build shortcuts.
Exactly. And that's like that whole idea where, people used to get mad because people were like, "Oh, hey, if you use shortcuts, you're not a programmer." Honestly, programmers are doing the same
This is
thing.
literally the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
like
it's just a visual programming language. Like
exactly.
I think a lot of people get hung up on. I mean, I see people declaring variables all day long that you don't need to do in shortcuts ever. Like it can just handle that thing. So I think a lot of the advances of iOS get kind of lost in that space because programmers are so used to doing things in a specific way. But pretty much everything that you just showed me is the same way that I did it.
Yeah.
I will
can
say
walk
too,
you
like
through how to do this in shortcuts. Like I could tell you the
Yeah.
steps that you would need to figure out to do this in shortcuts. And it's honestly it is use their API, get an API key. Find out what the ID is for your show. Get get all of the episodes that your show has put out, take the very first one, which will be
get
the
item
latest
from list.
episode,
Yeah.
and then it's going to give you JSON data, and then you just select which key you want. Like you can,
I can build
like,
that
you
in my
can
head
do-
right now. Like
Exactly.
see, and you would type it, and I would. I think that's what it's like. I think it's all fine. Like, that's even still. I should write a Python script that I can use on my Mac and do the exact same thing. I think
Yeah.
a big thing for me is that I can sit on the phone, or I was going to say sit on the toilet and do it on my phone.
And I mean,
like-
if I had a second iPad, one of the things that I would do is set up like a push cut server
Yeah, that's
and
cool
just
too.
have that run. Just literally have it run once a day. Have it run, once an hour.
Yeah.
In most cases, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to overwrite what was already there, and that's not a problem either. But the thing is, in order for this to work, it was that end part. It was once you've created that file, store it on my website, and that's where like you start running into some of the issues that I know like Rosemary Orchard has set it up so that she can write a blog post from her phone and it pushes to her server and does all this stuff. I have a similar shortcut, but I never use it because it's like, all right, open up drafts, type in what I want to type, and then run this shortcut that's going to open up working copy,
Yeah.
pull down everything, create that file, create a commit message, push it back up to working copy, and then hope everything worked. And if anything happens wrong in there, it's just like, now my anxiety is like killing me because I don't know if my blog post pushed or not.
Yeah. Some of that confirmation stuff. I mean, I have a thing that logs shortcuts to my server or the Airtable, and I have a confirmation step that just tells me when it's done and stuff like that. So I totally get that. Again, I do think, isn't that everything you would do with a Python anyways? But yeah, I think it's like the confidence in it is not there. And I think that's a huge issue. I think for sync stuff, that's shaken a lot of my confidence. And like a lot of times I don't want to because I want people to use shortcuts, but I really want to make a video that's like, you can't rely on shortcut sync because I haven't been able to. And that's just the reality, whether or not you should. It's like, it should be working. It should be fine now. But also I've spent like 9 months with sync stuff. So like alone, those can be major issues too. So I totally get that. I mean, I think that's why a lot of times I'm not trying to convince people that shortcuts is like the answer to everything. I think it is like, it's an answer on your phone and your iPad that nobody knows about, and not everybody is sitting in front of that laptop all the time or wants to. Like, I think that's a big thing for me as a creator. I am trying to figure out what it's like to not have to sit at a laptop and do your work. Like, obviously the world's a little different currently, so that's always difficult too to assess for
Yeah.
the current climates.
And
But even then, like, you're all a billion people just bought iPads. Like, that's a huge thing. So if you have it, why not use it like a real computer? Like, I think a big thing with phones and tablets is you just can't be bothered because you do have all of these systems that you use on your Mac that are fine too. But also,
mhm.
like, you can have shortcuts set up to allow you to do those things without meaning you have to go back to your computer. So that's
I
kind of that realm.
definitely the last thing that I want to mention, because I have
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
call with
say.
another friend of ours in a second. But I think the biggest advantage to shortcuts is it's the tool that works where you are. You know,
Yeah, I love that.
if you're on your iPad
Preach.
and you need to do some automation thing, it's like I don't want to have to like use screens to remote into my computer and like
Yeah.
fire off some shortcut. I can just do the thing there. But when it comes to if I'm at my computer, do I want to like open up my iPad? And again, this is because I grew up in the pre smart device generation too, so it's like I grew up on a terminal. I'm more comfortable saying go to this context and then run a script. And I can do that faster than I
Mm-hmm.
can open up shortcuts, search for the shortcut that I want to run, which for me, I
Gotta get
think
them
that's a
widgets.
whole issue. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a huge thing that changed with iOS 14 too. The whole Siri aspect of it, I think, is it's just really hard to test in the same way. So you're not confident in the same ways. I think it's going to be a thing that just takes time to for me to get like I'm doing it so you don't have to. Sometimes also is kind of one thing I love about shortcuts is that you can just share them with people. Like, you can't really share programs the same way, so that's a whole aspect that just kind of is lost with programming otherwise, is it's so personal and limited to your computer, and I can share them and you can just download it right now, so that's always fun too.
Absolutely. You have a couple of
Yeah, I
questions
was
in
gonna say.
chat. Can shortcuts switch cellular services? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
it can open to that page and you can manually change it, but I
Yeah.
think the same thing, like 5G would be nice. Some of that is, again, I think an interesting thing this year is that they just built really powerful APIs for developers to use, which also means now Apple's own developers can use those. And that's something that is like kind of a weird thing. That's the reality of it, is like, if there's no technical path for these to happen, there wasn't a way to do it, but now there are, and so maybe they can. Like the settings team, I think that's part of it, is the settings app isn't a team. There's every app at Apple has a
Um,
part of the setting app or something like that. So that alone could be Apple's functional organization could create those kinds of issues. It's like, who's the dude who made the settings app doesn't work there anymore or something. Like, that's why the shortcuts gallery isn't that much updated, just because it was my job basically. So
yeah. And then the other question was, what are some of your most useful iPad shortcuts? I already showed off the AQI one, air quality index. For those that don't know what AQI is, we live in California. There are fires. We
yeah.
want to know if the air quality is good enough to breathe, especially me. I'm an asthmatic. So the other uh, shortcuts that I use are mostly just how to control my lights. Like I have hue lights and like the I forgot what they're called now, like the LQI or LF. I forgot some lights that you can buy on Apple,
Yeah.
Apple's website. So I like to go into modes. My wife and I share an office, which is actually the real reason for the green screen in most cases,
Oh, nice.
just to respect
Smart.
her privacy. So it's like, hey, if we're all in here, my daughter's in the living room with our nanny. It's like I'm just gonna turn off all the lights because energy conservation.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
smart.
also like a good thing of like being able to just do that. But in terms of like power usage of the iPad, I am by no means an iPad power user. I use drafts, Hearthstone, Twitter, and shortcuts, and then
Nice.
YouTube and YouTube Kids for my daughter.
Nice.
So
That's good.
that's like the full extent of what I'm doing with my iPad.
Um,
Um,
We should work on some of those together another time or something, because I think
Yeah.
building more together too is fun, and I have good ones for YouTube. I think the smart home stuff is good. I think specific work ones are what I use most on the iPad, because that is kind of like the home base for some of my things. I have like shortcuts for each step in the production process, so that it is like the same thing. I need to write my script. Okay, this shortcut just opens Slugline, and then once I need to go into editing mode, I open into GoodNotes,
Wait,
and that
what
has
is this Slugline?
Slugline. It's
Oh,
a
Slugline.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a
I was like,
markdown app
are you
for
just
script.
pushing new apps on me or
Oh
something?
man, you want the good apps? I have so many apps I don't even tell people about. Craft is in the simplest way, Roam for iOS with actual native app support. So it's got backlinking all over. I mean, yeah, it's not Roam is what it is, but also Craft is just better. I love Craft is awesome. They've got really cool keyboard shortcuts, and you can take like a bundle of text and collapse it into a page, and then go into that page and do like infinite collapsing and things like that. That's my main one for sure. That's like Craft. I do not know how to take notes. I am terrible at it. I don't keep notes. I'll always I try to just turn them into the content, but a lot of times I'm just get overwhelmed with all that. So Craft has been like my secret power tool. And I do think, but just to be a tease, now that I realized, I don't think they're accepting people into their beta right now because it's coming out in 2 weeks. So,
I mean, I use a notebook, so in terms of like replicating data, it's it's just gonna happen.
yeah,
I like that though because I think
I should have used
writing
Notebook.
it in my notebook first gives me the ability to like filter stuff out. And if I'm writing a blog post, I will do the outline in my notebook and then write out what I want to write out in drafts if I'm
Nice.
using like my iPad or my iPhone or something like that. But then if I'm at my computer, I keep my blog posts in the Ultra. And it's
Yeah.
like because,
So you're all plain text. That's what
yeah, plain
developers kind
text
of have
helps
to.
a lot.
I do Ulysses for the main writing. I do use the plain text and move through those spaces, but I do planning in my node a lot because I like being able to drag around the nodes and recombine the ideas using touch. Again, see, I am very touch oriented, which is an interesting angle that I think a lot of people don't ever get into because you kind of just have to start from iPad and work backwards as opposed
Yeah.
to, I think that's a huge thing that going iPad only for a while was like forced me into some of these lanes. But now that I have them, going backwards and then having cross-platform stuff work really well is awesome too.
I've got 6 minutes. Here's another question from Scaff. Can you help me build a shortcut I struggle with? I have a folder with 100 JPEG pictures in the Files app and a folder with 200 corresponding RAWs. Is there a way to find the JPEGs of these RAWs?
You can probably do this better than me because that
I
is a
would say
programming question.
that is a 100% programming question, and this is exactly where like if you have a computer, use a computer for this because
could do
there are
it.
so many tools.
So, okay, the big thing is that you can, and there's tools that exist. I think one thing that is hard with shortcuts is that sometimes you do have to go back to first principles in the way that other programming languages have abstracted out into just functions. In the
Yes.
same way that Toolbox Pro has abstracted a lot of first principle stuff that you can build with shortcuts and just turned it into a single action that you can just run. So that alone, like some Toolbox Pro maybe could just do this. Like
Here's
logically,
another
do you know how you would approach this though?
Yeah, here's another thing that you could do that would probably be more friendly for shortcuts. Like if there's a shortcut that if this depends on two things. One, both of the files are named the same,
I kind of assume that.
yeah, not necessarily the same like extension, but the names are the same. So image123.raw is the same as image123.jpg.
Where'd it go?
If that's the case, you can just print out all the files in the folder and then just look at the files. If you print out the files in both folders, you can say what's the same and then return that list of items.
So you would get the list and then okay, so I'm just thinking of it logically. Like I have one list. Do I repeat through that list and look inside, so I'm looking at that list for each item, then I'm going to, how would you match that logically? This is something that I always, like, I do not know some of that programming concept thing, but there's a way to do it. I know for sure.
This becomes a performance question
Yeah,
then,
just like if
because
and just repeating.
yeah, you could say, I'm trying to think of how to word it so that it works for shortcuts as well. I would say get each list and just have the text. Don't worry about the data, because if you're saying get
Yeah.
this item, get the name and everything like that, it's going to start to become a performance issue. Where if
Shortcuts
you
can
say
do that on its own. That's the thing that I think you don't have to coerce out just the name. Shortcuts will intelligently determine. You're
Okay.
not trying to work with a bunch of images. Like, you just want the titles. So that's one thing
Yeah.
that is nice.
In that case, I mean, if it's only 200 items, it wouldn't be too bad. You could just say, like, for each file name in
The first
this
list,
item, in each item in the first list, look and see if there's a corresponding image in the second list. If there is,
just by doing
save
like
that.
if the title equals this,
Yeah.
otherwise not. See, that's all. So let me just show. Like, this is how I would do it in shortcuts, and it doesn't help that we don't have the actual like data to do it with, because that's one of the things is so many times just have to play around and figure it. Why are we on top of each other?
I could generate all those images really quick. Like, just create a bunch of file names, like if range this to this.
I think but logically it would be something where you go, like, you got to get both of the files first of all. That's a good way to do it logically with shortcuts, is to just kind of like start. Also, you have to leave in a second, so I might just keep going if you have to jump off.
Okay, actually, I'll jump off.
Okay, cool.
I'm Jay. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, follow him on KJ Miller on Twitter, right?
Yep. Send me a copy of this so that I can steal the audio and put it on the podcast, because
I mean,
it was gold.
3 hours long.
It
but
was good. Yeah, it was good.
I'll give you just that part.
My part. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Okay,
All right,
cool.
later.
Nice to see you. It was awesome having you, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. You come on my show next time.
All right,
we'll talk.
We'll do.
I'll get you into Python. We'll do that.
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah.
All right, later.
All right, see ya. Okay, so just to show people a little bit more, is that pulling out everything okay? Okay, here we go. So what we were talking about is you kind of got to get both of those lists of files. And I think the most basic way would be to manually select these, because you were saying you have them both in the Files app. Another way that you can do it is put them into shortcuts, which would allow you to automate their location. So if you made a temporary file in shortcuts, put them both in there, and then you could kind of pull them out later. Shortcuts has a limitation right now where it doesn't work with the full iCloud Drive thing, which is also very stupid. That needs to be fixed. But basically, once you have, you're going to repeat through, and I'm just going to clarify too, this is the, oh no, I changed the shot. Sorry. There we go. This is going to be the first file. Nope. Wait, did I just mess it up? This is the second file. The other one's the first one. So you need to go through this first list. Get, for each of these, you're going to be repeating through this list of files. And then each time you go through it, it needs to basically check if the repeated item that we're working with, if the name of that file contains, and then basically, I think maybe this was the part where the performance thing can come in, but you basically need to repeat through this other list also and double check, like, does this include one of those? Trying to think of the logic for this. Is it's like, if it works, then you want to get that photo or just the item. But let's see. Get, where'd you go? Image. If it does contain it, get that. Otherwise, just do nothing. This is why this nothing action exists, because you want to make sure nothing actually goes on. So if it contains one of those, so basically, as we're going through each of those, you're going to need to repeat it with this entire list too. So it's basically like, as you're going through all of those lines, you're then going to do that process each time, checking whether or not it contains that. Sometimes this is weird when you have nested repeats, you need to put them in there. Repeat item 2. Why is that being mean? Repeat with each item in the second file. There we go. I'm not sure why that was being buggy. The name of it contains the original repeat item. Then get the images, otherwise do nothing. So that's kind of like, this is what other programs do. Some of them are probably doing it. Oh, that should be up there. There's just ways for programs to do this more efficiently and just not needing you to kind of understand this type of logic. So like, obviously that's going to be really complex and not really what people want to do, but it is possible. And this is all that programs are doing anyways. Like that's what gets me so many times when I'm doing shortcuts is I'll just get to a point and be like, oh, this is all that it is. It's just looking at the list and then going faster, or like a very simple counting the number of things and then it doesn't actually need it there or something like that is like very weird, but that's just all programming kind of is. So those kind of things are always interesting to discover. And I think that's something that Shortcuts helps me. Oop, still got J up in here. Helps me kind of get value out of Shortcuts beyond is like understanding how these technologies are even working on a somewhat more fundamental level. There's some other comments too I was missing. I use Automator and Shortcuts to do mundane tasks. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to automate it. That's a great example. How to create a shortcut to play video in landscape mode. I don't think you can do that. I think you're talking about like locking landscape orientation. That's a good one. Oh yeah, and for Paul, that craft app, it is craft.do is their URL. Let me just show you guys, folks. This is their website, and it's got like a lot of ways to organize the same information. Ooh, that looks new. Side-by-side stuff. Oh yeah, you could just see that grouping thing there. I love this. Collaboration is baked in, really good sync already, all in beta. Like, to me, it's just when you see an app that is getting it right before they've even launched and have really good interaction design and things like that, I'm just like, yes, please. This is all I need. I don't want promises of this in 3 years. I want it now, please. Do you guys want more questions? I feel like I have been going for 3 hours. Maybe I should stop. I might do another one or something later. It is like, this is a great distraction for me. So I'm all about helping people out, but I also want to keep it fresh and not just kind of spin my wheels and get exhausted. It is noon here, so I should probably eat lunch, but thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate everybody saying hi in the comments and stuff and letting me chat with Jay. That's always fun. I like having more voices in the technology space. I love to see some people here chatting up and stuff, ask more questions on Twitter. Maybe sometimes I can get people in on streams too. I don't know. I've also got, I'll say this at the end here. I've got a Shortcuts user group that if you search on my website, you can find the join link, but it is a way, it's a Slack community where we talk about shortcut stuff. And it's a fun way to basically have some casual conversations like this. There's a bunch of people there that can help too if I'm not available yet and things like that. We're going to be doing some, hello, Rodrigo. We're going to be doing some like Zoom type calls on the weekends for the Shortcuts user group. So people can just kind of chill together and hang out. And it's not just me talking the whole time too. Like, I'd love to know more from what you guys are doing. But yeah, those are the great ways. Also, totally, like, all of my shortcuts are free. If you want to sign up for the membership too, that's always awesome. It does help me get further along with my project sooner, but also the goal is for it to be free. So if it's recording something or paying for something is a problem, then that's fine too. It's all there for you to download. And I'd love more feedback on that stuff, what you want to see in the newsletter and everything. So thanks for tuning in, folks. I will see you in the next Shortcuts Live. Make sure always just use shortcuts.live is the link to get back here. And then we should be good to go for some next streams. I really hope the rest of the day goes well for everybody. Stay safe, stay hydrated, take a nap, hug your loved ones, and I will see you in the next one.